Chapter 534 Dark Sage King, Reputation of Invincibility. Chapter 534 Dark Sage King, Reputation of Invincibility. Han Ju remained silent. After hearing Li Mui's words, his first reaction was, "What's wrong with this old fellow? Why did he think that Han Ju would help him?" Seeing through his thoughts, Li Mui said, "If you help me from now on, if the sages dare to scheme against you, I will firmly support you. I will also introduce you to the ancestors of the human school. If you have the chance in the future, you can go listen to the great Tao. Even Niwa could transcend the heavenly Tao." Han Ju had long suspected that the sages of the past had already stepped into a higher realm. As the first Providence sect, the human school's foundation was naturally unfathomable. However, this wasn't enough to move Han Ju. After all, he had to take risks. Han Ju said, "I'll consider it." Li Mui frowned. From his understanding of this fellow, thinking about it meant rejecting him. He asked, "What do you want? Tell me." Han Ju said, "I don't want anything. I've just attained the Tao not long ago. I have to deal with enemies that you can't even deal with. I still have to be wary of your junior brothers launching a sneak attack on my Tao field at any time. They're forcing me." Li Mui felt awkward. The atmosphere became deathly silent. Li Mui was speechless. Han Ju said, "Let me think about it. This is very important. If it were you, you wouldn't have agreed directly, right?" "Fine," Li Mui said helplessly. The dream ended. Han Ju's consciousness returned to reality. He began to derive. "I want to know who the enemy Li Mui is talking about is. 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." A figure appeared in Han Ju's mind. This person wore a black Taoist robe. His sleeves fluttered, and his long hair was like a waterfall. There was a vertical eye between his eyebrows. Dark Sage King. Cultivation unknown, Chaotic Fiend Celestial. Chaotic Fiend Celestial. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Goodness. He couldn't provoke this guy. The unknown cultivation meant that it was at least higher than Han Ju's cultivation. Perhaps he could defeat the other party, but the other party had a chance to kill him. If he couldn't kill him instantly, he couldn't be his enemy. Han Ju put this matter aside for the time being and ignored it. Arrange for the disciples to go out later. They can't go to Li Mui's Kiliacosm world. Han Ju thought silently. As for Li Mui's dreams in the future, he would ignore them. He wasn't afraid of offending him. When the Dark Sage King succeeded, Li Mui's cultivation would definitely plummet. He might even be severely injured and become the weakest sage. These sages who relied on the providence of the heavenly Tao had unstable foundations. They were nothing to fear. Time passed. A piece of news suddenly spread throughout the immortal world, shaking the world. The heavenly court defeated the dragon race, and from then on, they became a subordinate of the heavenly court. This dragon race included the true dragon race and other dragons. After the heavenly Tao restarted, the dragon race also appeared. They relied on their powerful physical potential to dominate the sea, and had extremely high prestige. The submission of the dragon race caused all living beings to look at the heavenly court. It was the orthodox lineage of the immortal gods. While everyone was shocked by the heavenly court's strength, the isolated 100-peak immortal river was calm and peaceful. In the blink of an eye, another 500 years passed. Han Ju had just finished his lecture when he taught the invocation technique to the million living beings in the hidden sect. He declared that this mystical power was a secret technique and was not allowed to be used. If they used it recklessly, they would suffer a backlash. All the disciples believed Han Ju's words. Only a few personal disciples had used the invocation technique, so most of the disciples still had reverence for it. Han Ju came in front of the Fusang tree and let it open up more than 100 spatial vortexes. He scanned with his divine sense. These space-time continuums were of different strengths. The strongest was still Li Mui's Kiliacosm world. Among them, 6 worlds did not have the providence of the heavenly Tao, and were not controlled by the heavenly Tao. After observing, Han Ju made a decision. After returning to the Taoist temple, he continued cultivating. 10 years later, Han Zuetian brought 1,000 unnamed disciples to the Fusang tree. These unnamed disciples had already reached the emperor realm and could no longer increase their cultivation. The Fusang tree opened a spatial vortex and said, "Enter from here." The empty vortex was chosen by Hanju previously. It wasn't too strong or too weak. If 1,000 immortal emperors entered, they could at least dominate an area. Han Zuetian turned around and looked at the 1,000 unnamed disciples. After we arrive, find a place to take root and understand the situation of this world before making plans. The disciples nodded. Then, under Han Zuetian's guidance, they jumped into the spatial vortex. This batch of disciples was considered the top among the unnamed disciples. Their departure was also a huge matter, causing the other disciples to discuss. Hanju didn't hide the fact that they were going outside the heavenly Tao. It was a good opportunity to stimulate the sect and make the disciples more united. Several months later, Hanju received Li Muyi's dream notification again. This time he ignored it. Li Muyi kept spamming the dreams. Hanju wasn't in a breakthrough state, so the system didn't block it for him. After a month, Li Muyi gave up. Li Muyi's hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points: 4 stars. Hanju didn't care at all. Since Li Muyi couldn't protect himself, he had no time to take revenge. Several months passed. Li Daokong came to visit him. "Sect Master, I want to go out and train. I want to imitate Shi Dudao and challenge the mighty figures." Li Daokong said with a firm gaze. Hanju asked, "Aren't you afraid of sages?" "As long as I don't leave the heavenly Tao, sages can't personally attack me. What I want to do is become the strongest pseudo-sage. I just need the sages to pressure me and force me to grow." "Have you thought about it?" Hanju asked seriously. Li Daokong was already a pseudo-sage and met the requirements to go out. Li Daokong nodded. Hanju said, "I'll teach you a mystical power to help you become an invincible pseudo-sage." He raised his hand and pointed. The inherited memories surged into Li Daokong's mind. Great Tao mystical power, 10,000 life sword. Everything in the world could become a sword. This was Hanju's strongest sword Tao mystical power. Several days later, Li Daokong opened his eyes and exclaimed, "This mystical power," Hanju said calmly, "was created by me. You are the second person to grasp it." Li Daokong's expression changed. He immediately knelt down and kowtowed. "Sect Master, I will never forget your kindness. I will fight for the hidden sect even if my body and soul are destroyed in this life." Li Daokong's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability: 6 stars. The 10,000 life sword was too powerful. He had never cultivated such a mystical power, and had never even seen it. Hanju could teach him this mystical power, which was no different from treating him as a direct disciple. At this moment, Li Daokong's feelings for Hanju completely changed. He became like his personal disciples. Hanju said, "Daokong, don't disappoint me. I look forward to your achievements the most. If the hidden sect gives birth to a second sage, I feel and hope that it will be you. I won't let Sect Master down. Go. Make a name for yourself before coming back." Yes. With that, Li Daokong was moved out of the 100-peak immortal river by Hanju. He floated high in the sky. Under the sunlight, his white robe fluttered in the wind. A proud expression appeared on his handsome face again. "With this mystical power, I will definitely be invincible in the immortal world." Shi Dudao, are you ready? Chapter 535: Shi Dudao's Favorability. Crisis of the Heavenly Devil. Chapter 535: Shi Dudao's Favorability. Crisis of the Heavenly Devil. Li Daokong's departure did not cause a commotion in the hidden sect. Apart from Hanju, the personal disciples thought that he was cultivating in seclusion. Many years later, Li Xian'eo went to visit Li Daokong and saw the letter he had left behind. He stood in Li Daokong's Taoist temple and was silent for a long time. His emotions turned into a sigh. He knew his senior best. He was competitive. This trip was said to seek invincibility, but it was actually to defeat Shi Dudao and regain his reputation. Li Xian'eo wasn't too worried. He believed in his senior. Perhaps Li Daokong wasn't Shi Dudao's match now, but as long as he was given time, he would surpass the other party sooner or later. Li Xian'eo stopped thinking and left. If he wanted to help his senior, he had to seize the time to cultivate. 100 years passed quickly. Hanju opened his eyes and checked the emails. He had endured for 100 years, because he wanted to see what Li Daokong could do. Your disciple Li Daokong was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. Your disciple Li Daokong was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure, and was severely injured. Your good friend Emperor Chun was attacked by your disciple Li Daokong. Your good friend Pan Xian was attacked by your disciple Li Daokong. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by your disciple Li Daokong, and was severely injured. Hanju showed a frown. Sure Du Dao didn't develop any feelings for him, causing him to not be able to check on Li Daokong and his situation. He could only dream. Hanju immediately used the Dark Nightmare, and saw Sure Du Dao in the image of the Dark Forbidden Lord. The dream was a volcano range. Magma covered the ground like a spider web. The sky was dense with black clouds, making the world extremely oppressive. Sure Du Dao opened his eyes and saw the black shadow like Hanju. He frowned and asked, "Who are you?" He was shocked. The other party directly pulled him into a dream realm, and he couldn't block it. This meant that the difference in cultivation between the two was huge. Hanju said in a hoarse voice, "I'm the Dark Forbidden Lord. Your potential is not bad. I choose you." Sure Du Dao frowned. "Why did you choose? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Me, Dark Forbidden Lord, the most terrifying mastermind of the previous immeasurable calamity." Although Sure Du Dao didn't enter the calamity, he often heard the disciples of the other sages talking about him. After the heavenly Dao restarted, the Dark Forbidden Lord even targeted the sages. There were rumors that the Dark Forbidden Lord was transformed by a sage. No matter who the Dark Forbidden Lord was, Sure Du Dao knew that he was not his match. "Be my believer and I will bring you to the Great Dao," Hanju said solemnly. "Great Dao? What Great Dao? Surpass the heavenly Dao? What do I need to do for you? You don't have to do anything. Wait for the day the darkness descends, and you will know what to do." Hee. Sure Du Dao smiled. Hanju cursed silently. "How dare you laugh at me?" Sure Du Dao changed the topic and said, "You can make me a sage?" Hanju said, "Of course. I have the method to attain the Dao through strength. I also have the primordial purple qi. I even have an even stronger Dao attainment qi." Sure Du Dao was moved. Dao attainment had already become his mental demon. The sages were unwilling to support him in attaining the Dao, because he had not submitted to a certain sage. Sure Du Dao knew that even if he acknowledged a sage as his master, the sage might not let him attain the Dao. Looking back at the past and present, every sage was the son or eldest personal disciple of the previous sage. If he had joined the sage as a pseudo-sage, his own Dao heart couldn't take it. "All right," Sure Du Dao gritted his teeth, and said with a determined expression, "Sure Du Dao has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. 1 star was enough." Hanju didn't really want to accept him. He raised his right hand, and a beam of light pierced into Sure Du Dao's forehead. It was so fast that Sure Du Dao didn't even have time to react. When Sure Du Dao woke up, the dream had already ended. A mystical power appeared in his mind. Great freedom heaven imprisoning palm. Space mystical power that could take in the sky with one palm. As his cultivation level increased, he could absorb the heavenly Dao at its strongest. Absorption of the heavenly Dao. Sure Du Dao was shocked. This mystical power. On the other side, Sure Du Dao's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars. Hanju was not surprised. His mystical power was strong enough. After all, it was a top-notch system. He checked his emails again. Indeed, the mysterious mighty figure had changed. Your disciple Li Daokong was attacked by your good friend Sure Du Dao, and was severely injured. Your good friend Sure Du Dao was attacked by your disciple Li Daokong. Indeed, Li Daokong wasn't Sure Du Dao's match for the time being. Li Daokong was a peerless genius that was rare in history, but he, Sure Du Dao, was also peerlessly talented. He was a great Dao inheritor, and his cultivation level had reached the limit below the sages. Li Daokong had the 10,000 life sword, and was indeed unable to defeat him. Hanju suddenly started to look forward to it. Which was stronger, the great Dao mystical power, 10,000 life sword, or the great freedom heaven imprisoning palm? which could absorb the heavenly Tao. 33rd heaven in the chaos. Li Muyi, South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Fuxician, Emperor Shao, and Qiu Shilai stood side by side. Their expressions were all very ugly. Following their gaze, there was a huge, dense black hole in the darkness. Purple lightning flickered faintly, and a low and weak panting sound came from it. Sect Master Tianju asked in a low voice, "What is it?" "My sage sense can't penetrate it, but I can feel its aura rapidly becoming stronger." The sages looked at Li Muyi. His cultivation was the highest. Heavenly Devil, Chaotic Heavenly Devil. This devil gathered the negative karma of the calamity and is no longer inferior to a sage, Li Muyi said with an ugly expression. The sages couldn't help but look at Emperor Shao. Emperor Shao snorted, "Heavenly devils are not us devils. Our devil race is still hidden in the darkness of the 32nd heaven, being tortured by the heavenly Tao. This treatment is all thanks to the care of the sages." The sages weren't ashamed of his mockery. Instead, they looked at Li Muyi again. Li Muyi sighed. "I'm leaving the heavenly Tao for some time. My Kiliacosm world has shown signs of trouble. I'll leave this matter to you. If you can't subdue this thing, the immortal world will be in danger. Its target is the immortal world. I can sense its bloodthirsty desire. It's very hungry and very angry." The expressions of the sages changed drastically. Without Li Muyi, they had no backbone. Qiu Shilai said, "We can't even see through it. How can we subdue it? Why don't we find the ancestor?" Fuxician shook his head. "Ancestor left thousands of years ago, and has yet to return." Li Muyi's expression changed, and he suddenly disappeared. The sages weren't surprised. They already knew Li Muyi's situation. The most important thing now was to deal with this terrifying and unknown heavenly devil. The aura of the sages. "Wait for me." At this moment, a horrified voice sounded from the black hole, causing the sages' scalps to tingle. "Heavenly Tao, you have to hide well. Don't let me find you. I'll eat you." The sages looked at each other and made up their minds. They took out their strongest Dharma treasures and prepared to join forces to suppress it. The heavenly devil in the black hole laughed crazily. "A bunch of puppets, the fools in the heavenly Tao illusion. All of you dare to attack me. You don't know your limits." Chapter 536 Tao Heavenly Devil, must be insta-killed. Chapter 536 Tao Heavenly Devil, must be insta-killed. Time passed. Another 200 years passed. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju suddenly felt uneasy. He opened his eyes and looked up. His gaze traveled through the 33rd heaven and saw a huge battle. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Qiu Shilai, Fuxician, and Emperor Shao attacked a black hole together. Their mystical powers were endless, and their Dharma treasures were powerful. "What?" Hanju frowned and looked at the black hole. What made him uneasy was not the battle, but the mysterious existence in the black hole. This feeling, Hanju thought of how he felt when he first faced the inauspicious evil. Could this be related to the dark forbidden zone? Hanju called the strange deity over and sent it the scene of the 33rd heaven, scaring it. It began to wave frantically. Through telepathy, Hanju knew what it meant. Danger. It was very dangerous. Extreme danger. The strange deity's first reaction was to escape. Hanju frowned and suppressed the uncontrollable strange deity in the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. "I want to know if I can defeat what the sages are facing. 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" Continue. Possible. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. Possible? Hanju's heart almost exploded. That meant that he could be defeated. Not to mention being defeated, Hanju wanted to insta-kill the enemy. "No," Hanju continued to derive. "I want to know its identity." This time, his lifespan was not deducted. Tao Heavenly Devil. Cultivation unknown. Transformed by negative karma. An extremely evil existence. Hanju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the Tao Heavenly Devil. 5 days later, his lifespan began to decrease. As he cursed, he watched the battle in the 33rd heaven. The Tao Heavenly Devil did not seem to be affected by the curse. Facing the attacks of the sages, its aura did not decrease. Hanju hurriedly stopped. Cursing the enemy consumed too much lifespan. It was better to derive it directly. Cursing Sage Jinan until he went mad was enough for Hanju to derive hundreds of questions about sages. I want to know if my curse can work on Tao Heavenly Devil? 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No, he has the power of curses to begin with. Hanju showed a frown. This was a little inexplicable. Hanju stood up and activated all his supreme treasures. Divine light shone brightly and illuminated his body. He followed and arrived above the sages of the 33rd heaven. His appearance pleasantly surprised the sages. Hanju, hurry up and kill this demon! Xiuxilai shouted. Hanju immediately used the simulation trial to copy the Tao Heavenly Devil's data, and then disappeared. The sages were stunned for a moment before continuing to attack. In an instant, Hanju received several messages that the hatred points had increased. He didn't mind and started the simulation trial. An hour later, Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. What a Tao Heavenly Devil! How powerful! Hanju had to use all his fiend celestial Dharma idols to kill it. Before this, he had almost been killed by Tao Heavenly Devil many times. Powerful enemy. This was definitely the strongest enemy Hanju had ever encountered. Hanju continued the simulation trial and looked for a way to insta-kill the Tao Heavenly Devil. He kept trying. 2 years passed. Hanju still didn't find a way to insta-kill the Tao Heavenly Devil. Fortunately, he had already become a sage. Otherwise, his black hair would definitely have turned white. Xiuxilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Xiuxilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? This lunatic was spamming again. Hanju thought of the Tao Heavenly Devil and agreed to the dream. In the dream, Xiuxilai was still majestic and domineering. He looked down at Hanju and said in a low voice, "The Heavenly Devil attacked. Why did you only take a look and leave?" Hanju was angry in his mind. He had fought for 2 years to deal with the Tao Heavenly Devil. Even if he didn't contribute, he had worked hard. He retorted, "Could it be that the sages can't deal with the Heavenly Devil? That's right. We will all suffer a backlash. Sooner or later, the Heavenly Devil will enter the 33rd heaven. At that time, we will all die. Even the Heavenly Tao and all living beings will be devoured. Your 100-peak immortal river can forget about escaping." Xiuxilai's tone was filled with resentment. Hanju remained silent. Xiuxilai sighed. The Heavenly Tao is in danger. The next time the Heavenly Devil attack, I hope you can take action and fight with us. Otherwise, the Heavenly Tao will be in danger. Hanju said, "I'll consider it." "Don't just consider it, you have to come." "Why? What do I owe the Heavenly Tao?" Hanju was furious. This fellow was plotting against him with the Heavenly Tao. Don't think that he didn't know. However, Xiuxilai had helped him in the previous calamity, so he did not directly attack him. Facing such a tough nut, Xiuxilai was also annoyed. He said, "If the Heavenly Tao is destroyed, where can you go?" "That's it." Hanju waved his right hand and forcefully broke through Xiuxilai's dream. In the Tao field, Xiuxilai opened his eyes with a solemn expression. This kid is already so strong. A storm brewed in his heart. Although Hanju was a sage, he had always felt that he wasn't at his level. After all, the two of them had never fought. But just now, the appearance of the Tao Heavenly Devil gave Hanju a sense of urgency. He began to cultivate in seclusion and comprehended the great Tao of extreme origin every day. The living beings of the immortal world did not sense that a calamity was coming. Some cultivated, some searched for treasures, some preached the Tao, and some fought. All living beings had all sorts of forms. The cycle of reincarnation changed and formed a set of rules. In a cave, Li Daokong was meditating and healing his injuries. A sword floated behind him, emitting the aura of a heavenly sovereign. He slowly opened his eyes and muttered, "Although the 10,000 life sword is strong, my dermic powers are inferior to Shirdu Dao's. I still have to increase my cultivation, but my cultivation speed is too slow. It seems that I can only seek the help of a supreme treasure." Li Daokong urgently wanted to defeat Shirdu Dao. If he couldn't defeat him, it would become his mental demon. At this moment, A voice came from the foot of the cave. May I ask if Senior is Li Daokong of the hidden sect? Li Daokong ignored him and closed his eyes again. The voice sounded. Your hidden sect disciple is in danger. If you don't save him, he will definitely die. Li Daokong opened his eyes and sucked the person into the cave. This person was dressed gorgeously and had a handsome face. He had an immortal aura. He knelt down on one knee and cupped his fists. I'm Han Ming. This child was captured by the Jie school. He waved his hand, and a figure appeared beside him. It was Han Tuo. Li Daokong was stunned when he saw Han Tuo's face. Too similar. It was simply like Han Ju. Li Daokong pinched his fingers to deduce, and discovered that Han Tuo's karma was extremely vague. Could it be? 100 years later, Han Ju opened his eyes. He was still very far from the mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm. This made him very frustrated. It had been a long time since he had broken through. He wasn't used to it. The Tao Heavenly Devil could attack at any time. Han Ju hoped that he could have the strength to insta-kill the Tao Heavenly Devil before that. He had to check his emails to calm down. Your good friend Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. His sage heart is damaged. Your good friend Huang Zuantian was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong and was severely injured. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by a heavenly devil, X19230. Your good friend Empress Hutu was cursed by a mysterious curse and developed mental demons. Your good friend Shi Dudao was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. Your good friend Pan Xian has entered the dark forbidden zone. Your good friend Emperor Xiao was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. His sage heart is damaged. Chapter 537 Unification of the Tao Sect. Han Tuo's Hope. Chapter 537 Unification of the Tao Sect. Han Tuo's Hope. Qiu Shilai and Emperor Xiao were both injured. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. This heavenly devil was very strong. He looked up and saw that the 33rd heaven was silent. The black hole that hid the Tao Heavenly Devil was still there. Purple lightning interweaved, and a silent pressure could be felt. Han Ju could sense the aura of the Tao Heavenly Devil. If this fellow didn't escape, how did it hurt the sages? Divine sense attack? Han Ju couldn't figure it out. No matter what, the Tao Heavenly Devil had yet to enter the Heavenly Tao, so he still had time. During this period of time, Han Ju had to hurry up and become stronger. He had to strive to insta-kill the Tao Heavenly Devil as soon as possible. After reading the emails, Han Ju closed his eyes and started cultivating. Advertisements. The 33rd heaven became extremely silent because of the appearance of the Tao Heavenly Devil. The sages no longer preached the Tao, and no cultivators came to visit. This solemn atmosphere quickly spread to the immortal world. The disciples of the sage sect began to spread rumors that the heavenly Tao was about to face danger. 300 years later, the voice of the sages suddenly sounded in the immortal world. I, South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, lead the Chan school to enter the Tao sect. I will take Sage Qiu Shilai as the Tao Lord. I, Sect Master Tianju, lead the Jie school to enter the Tao sect. I will take Sage Qiu Shilai as the Tao Lord. I, Fuxishan, lead the human race to believe in the Tao sect. I will take Sage Qiu Shilai as the Tao Lord. I, Emperor Xiao, lead the devil race and the devil cultivators to enter the Tao sect. I will take Sage Qiu Shilai as the Tao Lord. I, Qiu Shilai, lead the Buddhist sect to join the Tao sect. From today onwards, all sages are part of the Tao sect. The providence of the heavenly Tao will return to the Tao sect, and all living beings will bear testament to it. In the Taoist temple, Han Ju opened his eyes with a strange expression. The sages were joining forces? With Qiu Shilai as the lead? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Wait, could it be that they wanted to pour all the heavenly Tao providence into Qiu Shilai's body and let him resist the Tao Heavenly Devil? The more Han Ju thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. He looked up and saw that the Tao field Qiu Shilai was enveloped by a huge barrier. It was holy and magnificent. Han Ju asked silently, after Qiu Shilai fuses with the heavenly Tao providence of the sages, can he kill me? 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. It's possible. Han Ju's eyelids twitched. It seemed that he couldn't leave the Dao field anymore. Otherwise, he would easily fail. Han Ju adjusted his emotions and continued cultivating. As for the Dao Heavenly Devil, he couldn't care less. He had to surpass Qiu Shilai first. Above the endless sea, Li Daokong and Shi Dudao floated above the clouds. Shi Dudao frowned. If the sages join forces, could it be that there is a terrifying existence hidden in that black hole? Li Daokong said coldly, Shi Dudao, focus on fighting me. Hearing this, Shi Dudao looked impatient and said, You aren't my match at all. Why do you keep pestering me? Can't you afford to lose? You didn't really defeat me. What do I have to do to win? Kill you? I know someone. His strength convinced me. Although you're strong, you're not strong enough to make me despair. Hee. Killing intent flashed across Shi Dudao's eyes. The floating sea of clouds suddenly stopped. Even the waves stopped. In the distance, on the beach, Han Ming and Han Tua watched from afar. The current Han Tua was already mature. He was handsome, but his eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life. His white clothes fluttered in the wind, and he exuded an elegant air. Although Han Ming was handsome, he was much inferior to Han Tua. Who was Senior Li's opponent? Han Tua asked. Han Ming said calmly, He's an existence that's far beyond our reach. Don't ask. Senior Li has yet to agree to take us in as disciples. Han Tua frowned. Senior Li is so powerful. The Jie school let me go with just one sentence from him. How did you convince him to save me? Also, after they captured me, I met a cultivator surnamed Huang. After that, they treated me well. Why? Brother Han. Our surnames are both Han. Are you related to my father? Who is my father? Han Tua wasn't stupid. After wandering for so many years, he discovered that what really made him rise was not his mother's body tempering technique, but his own potential. The reason why the immortal master did not detect his cultivation potential was that his potential was too strong. Ordinary cultivators couldn't see through him. He had once returned to the eastern city to find his parents, but he had only seen his mother's tombstone. His father had long vanished. He had asked cultivators to deduce the karma, and his father had long died. If his father had a powerful background, he wouldn't have died. In the worst case, he could have been harmed and lost his life. Every time he thought of this, Han Tua would be furious. And the thought that his father might have been killed by his enemies made the mysterious and violent power in his body restrain itself. Ever since he was young, he had always respected his father. If not for his father's guidance, he would have died 100 years ago. Han Ming looked into the distance and said, We just happen to have the same surname. I don't know your father. Don't think too much. When I met you back then, didn't you attack me? I even wanted to kill you. As for Senior Li, I have some affinity with him. Han Tua frowned. What about the Jie school? Han Ming rolled his eyes. How would I know? They might want you to not suffer before your death. After all, it's a sage sect. It won't be good if news of them bullying you gets out. If they really have good intentions towards you, why would they trap you? Han Tua felt that it made sense. He couldn't help but laugh at himself. He was really daydreaming sometimes. Could it be that he had encountered too many geniuses, that he always looked forward to having mighty figures in his ancestry? It was just wishful thinking. Boom! A terrifying wind suddenly swept along the sea. Han Tua and Han Ming's expressions changed drastically as they took out their Dharma treasures to block it. But how could they withstand the pressure of a pseudo-sage? Before the two of them could react, they were blown away and vanished into the horizon with the sand. 33rd Heaven, Buddhist Tao Field. In the Golden Palace, the sages gathered. Sect Master Tianju asked, Qiu Shilai, how do you feel? The other sages also looked at him. Advertisements. Qiu Shilai did not maintain his true body that was 10,000 feet tall, but his mortal-like body. He slowly opened his eyes and said, Not bad. I'm much stronger than before. I can even drive the Heavenly Tao's power. Fuxishan asked, Can you defeat Tao Heavenly Devil? Qiu Shilai had a complicated expression as he said, Perhaps not. It's still a little lacking. The Tao Heavenly Devil's power of misfortune is too strong and can't be killed. His power is at a higher level. If I want to kill him, I have to fuse the providence of the Heavenly Tao in the sage heart. The sage's expressions changed. The reason why they formed the Tao sect was to deal with the Tao Heavenly Devil. However, according to Qiu Shilai, once they fused, he would be the strongest sage in the future. Even if they separated their providence, it would not affect his cultivation. Most importantly, this fellow had the Tao destruction mystical power. The hall was silent, and the atmosphere became strange. Qiu Shilai took a deep breath and said, "Fellow Taoists, we have gone through 4 immeasurable calamities. However, we are the only ones left at the top of the heavenly Tao. No matter how we fight, it is considered internal strife. Now that the Tao Heavenly Devil is coming, if he swallows the heavenly Tao, we will all die. In this battle, all of you can only believe me. I won't let you down." Chapter 538 New Function of the System, Chaos in the Immortal World. Chapter 538 New Function of the System, Chaos in the Immortal World. The sages were silent and speechless. There was only one way. They felt desolate. So what if they survived this calamity? In the future, wouldn't they have to bow down to Qiu Shilai? Emperor Shao said, "Let's transcend this tribulation first. Qiu Shilai will personally face the Tao Heavenly Devil. He's under greater pressure than us. We have to support him now." His words were approved by the other sages. This matter was settled. Year after year passed. Another 100 years passed. Advertisements in the past 100 years, many things had happened. Mighty figures had established the mortal world, and some new races wanted to fight for providence. The golden crows on the sun appeared, and began to create demons. The demons that had once filled the heavens appeared again. The concept of demons was very vague. Other than the heavenly Tao race, everyone could be considered a demon. With this slogan, the golden crow's power quickly expanded. The legend of the 100-peak immortal river faded again, and was no longer mentioned by everyone. The 1,000 immortal emperors from the hidden sect also took root in that new world. This world had yet to be unified, and was in a chaotic period. Hanju didn't pay attention to these 1,000 unnamed disciples. If they really encountered trouble, he could just use the invocation, Tao, to teleport all of them back. At this current stage, Hanju focused on comprehending the great Tao of extreme origin. His sage power kept increasing, and he was frantically chasing after the mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm. Only by reaching the mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm would Hanju's strength increase greatly and allow him to insta-kill Qiu Shilai and Tao Heavenly Devil. Cultivating in the sage realm required time. On this day, another battle erupted in the 33rd heaven. Hanju could sense it. He looked up, and Qiu Shilai appeared in front of the black hole. 3 supreme treasures of different forms floated around him, emitting 3-colored divine light. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The other sages watched from afar. Qiu Shilai suddenly rushed into the black hole. In an instant, purple lightning flashed like dragons and snakes interweaving. Soon it shrank and disappeared. The sages were stunned. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate frowned. "What's going on? I can't sense their aura at all." Sect Master Tianju said expressionlessly, "We can only wait and see." On the other side, Hanju couldn't help but check his emails. Your good friend Qiu Shilai has fused with the Heavenly Tao Providence and stepped into the Heavenly Tao realm. Your good friend Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious Heavenly Devil. Next, Qiu Shilai was constantly attacked by Heavenly Devils. It seemed that there was more than one Heavenly Devil in the black hole. Hanju flashed the emails in front of him. As he cultivated, he paid attention to Qiu Shilai's situation. In the next 300 years, Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious Heavenly Devil more than 1,000,000 times. The Tao Heavenly Devil was still very strong. Even if he fused with the providence of the Heavenly Tao, Qiu Shilai still couldn't defeat him. From the looks of it, Qiu Shilai was not very strong. Although Hanju couldn't insta-kill the Tao Heavenly Devil, he could still kill him in 5 minutes. What he panicked about was that the enemy could not be insta-killed. It was not invincible against Hanju. On this day, your good friend Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious Heavenly Devil and was severely injured. Qiu Shilai still lost. Hanju shook his head. It seemed that Qiu Shilai was about the same strength as Tao Heavenly Devil. but the latter had greater persistence. The heavenly Tao sage was still a heavenly Tao sage. Useless. Hanju secretly felt disdain. At the same time, the sky suddenly turned red. The entire immortal world was the same. An extremely oppressive atmosphere filled the world. Immediately after, black holes of different sizes appeared in the sky. It was as if the sky was filled with holes. Looking sinister and terrifying, this scene shocked all the living beings in the world. The world was in an uproar. Malevolent heavenly devils flew out from the dense black holes. These heavenly devils had different forms. Their bodies were wrapped in a black aura, and their bodies were different in size. The common point was that their appearance was terrifying and ugly with blood-red eyes. The biggest heavenly devil was 1,000,000 feet tall. The smallest heavenly devil was also taller than a mortal. Hanju instantly felt several heavenly devils that were comparable to a pseudo-sage. Qiushilai had really lost. Detected that the heavenly devils are coming, and that the heavenly Tao calamity is coming. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and kill all the heavenly devils. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a supreme treasure, and a chance to activate a new function of the system. 2. Cultivate in a low-profile manner, and do not fight with the heavenly devils. You can obtain a great Tao fragment and a mystical power inheritance. When Hanju saw these 3 lines of words, he didn't make a decision immediately. If it was in the past, he would definitely choose the second option. However, a new function of the system attracted him. It wasn't difficult to kill all the heavenly devils. It was simple to kill them. Hanju decided to choose after some time. There was no need to choose immediately, unless he was in a hurry to receive the reward. He continued to cultivate. The chaos in the immortal world would be resolved by the immortal world. He had to hurry up and become stronger, so that he could insta-kill the Tao heavenly devil. In this year, the immortal world was in chaos and fell into slaughter. The addition of the heavenly devils made all living beings unite against the outside world. However, this calamity couldn't end in a short period of time. The heavenly devil's vitality was extremely strong. Even if he was torn into pieces, he could still recover his body. He had to be reduced to ashes and his body and soul destroyed before he could truly die. In the same realm, the heavenly Tao lifeforms weren't the heavenly devil's lifeforms match at all. Fortunately, the heavenly Tao lifeforms had the advantage in numbers. This battle entered a stalemate decades later. Spring passed and autumn came. It had been 200 years since the heavenly devils attacked. Many heavenly devils also appeared around the 100-peak immortal river, but they couldn't break through the Tao Field's array formation and quickly left. The disciples would also discuss this while cultivating. However, without Hanju's instructions, they wouldn't act rashly. Hanju was still cultivating and didn't panic. After all, he had already experienced the restart of the heavenly Tao. What could scare him now? Through the emails, he saw that Qiushilai was still fighting the Tao heavenly devil. He couldn't help but pity him. He guessed that Qiushilai was being beaten up and could not escape. How tragic. Hanju continued to check his emails. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by your good friend Shidu Dao. Your good friend Jiang Dugu was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. X412930. Your disciple Yang Tiandong was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. X93022. Your son Han Tua was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. X453. Your good friend, the heavenly emperor, has devoured the inauspicious evil. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Qiushilai was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil, and his body was destroyed. Your good friend ancestor Shitian discussed the Tao with a mysterious mighty figure. His cultivation has increased. Your disciple Zhou Fan obtained your good friend Seven Tao Sage's dream, and comprehended a mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Empress Hutu was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil, and was severely injured. Advertisements intense. How exciting! Hanju almost fainted. What attracted him the most was that Empress Hutu was severely injured. Although Empress Hutu wasn't a sage, she was not something that ordinary pseudo-sages could compare to. The heavenly devils had already invaded the netherworld. He wondered how the other worlds were doing. Qiushilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? Qiushilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? This notification started to flood the screen, interrupting Hanju from reading his emails. He frowned and asked cautiously, "If I accept his dream now, will my life be in danger?" Chapter 539 Bloodline Transformation. Hot-blooded Hanju. Chapter 539 Bloodline Transformation. Hot-blooded Hanju. 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Not for the time being. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief and decided to accept the dream. In the blink of an eye, he entered the dream realm. He came to an absolutely dark space. Golden light shone ahead and roared. It was deafening. Hanju focused his gaze and saw that Qiushilai, who had transformed into a golden Buddha, was fighting. Countless heavenly devils surrounded him like ants devouring an elephant. It was a spectacular sight. The Buddhist light on Qiushilai's body flickered. His gaze was fixed on the burly heavenly devil. This demon was covered in black flames. It had 8 arms and 3 heads. Its face was ferocious and its long hair fluttered. It was like the legendary Rakshasa. Its entire body was black, and its muscles were like heavy armor. It was visually impactful. From afar, the battle between Qiushilai and the Tao Heavenly Devil was like the battle of the gods and devils in ancient legends. The surrounding heavenly devils were only demons and monsters who wanted to devour their bodies. Hanju, I'm not the Tao Heavenly Devil's match. The other sages can't help me because they abandoned the Heavenly Tao's providence. Come quickly. If I die, the Heavenly Tao will be in danger. Qiushilai's voice resounded in his ears, his tone anxious. Hanju said calmly, I understand. I'll come when I'm ready. What else do you need to prepare? Prepare to kill Tao Heavenly Devil. Impossible. Even I can't kill him. You can only join forces with me to force him back. That's you. I think I can do it. You, that's all. If you die, I will treat the Buddhist sect well and help when they are in danger. Treat it as me returning the favor. You took care of my disciples, and I will take care of yours. With that, Hanju directly broke through the dream, and his consciousness returned to reality. He continued to cultivate. Save Qiushilai? Not for the time being. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. What if this fellow still attacked him? Even if it was only a possibility, Hanju couldn't take the risk. He believed that Qiushilai would survive. What did he have to say? Bad people usually caused trouble for a millennium. In the endless desert, sand filled the sky. Sounds of battle and roars filled the air. Han Ming and Han Tua were surrounded by thousands of heavenly devils and fought a bloody battle. Han Tua was covered in injuries, and his swords were already filled with holes. At this rate, he would die in the hands of the heavenly devils sooner or later. Run first. I'll hold them back. Han Ming suddenly shouted. He spread his arms, and his dermic powers transformed into bolts of lightning that wrapped around all the heavenly devils like lightning chains that formed a spider web. Han Tua said anxiously, I can't abandon you. Get lost. I'll only be able to escape if you escape. You're my burden now. Han Ming said impatiently. The thousands of heavenly devils struggled wildly. Their roars shook the world and were terrifying. Han Tua gritted his teeth and left. Looking at his departing figure, Han Ming heaved a sigh of relief. After Han Tua disappeared into the horizon, he finally relaxed. The heavenly devils broke free from the lightning chains and pounced at him again. Han Ming smiled sadly and muttered, I've returned the life I owed you. The next second his eyes turned ferocious. I, Han Ming, have lived 2 lifetimes. How can I die here? Even if I die, I will die spectacularly. Boom! He mobilized his Tao fruit and activated his dermic powers. His aura was magnificent. Sword chi condensed out of thin air and transformed into thousands of sword shadows that swept in all directions. All the heavenly devils broke free from the lightning chains and attacked him, almost drowning him. Han Ming used his hand as a sword and fought with all his might. A 4-winged heavenly devil with a tiger head and a human body was chopped into 2 by Han Ming. However, soon his body fused together again, and his injuries recovered. Such scenes appeared one after another. Han Ming frowned. So far, Not one of the heavenly devils had truly died. Han Ming felt despair. He was really going to die this time. Roar! A terrifying roar exploded. It was even more terrifying than all the nearby heavenly devils. The heavenly devils turned around, as if they were facing a great enemy. Han Ming also looked over. A terrifying black shadow appeared in the sky. It was like a heavenly devil, and emitted a powerful aura. It was rushing over crazily. Looking carefully, a tiny figure could be seen under this 30 kilometers tall black shadow. It was Han Tuo. A 10,000-foot tall black shadow emerged from above Han Tuo's head. He lowered his head and rushed towards the heavenly devil. His black hair was messy, as if he was possessed by a madman. This kid! Han Ming was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes. This power was so strong. He instinctively felt fear, even from so far away. Could it be a power bestowed by him? Han Ming had a complicated expression. If it was him, everything would make sense. I still owe you my life. Sigh. Another 90 years passed. Many heavenly devils were wandering outside the 100-peak immortal river. All the heavenly devils had intelligence, but their communication method was different from the heavenly Tao life forms. The 100-peak immortal river couldn't be broken through, making them realize that treasures or mighty figures from the immortal world might be hidden here. The heavenly devil had descended into the immortal world. Their mission was to slaughter all living beings. As the heavenly devils began to camp in the 100-peak immortal river, the hidden sect disciples also became nervous. This calamity was clearly different from the past. Could the hidden sect still protect itself? The merging of the Tao sect by the sages must be related to the heavenly devils. I heard from the living beings passing by that the immortal world is already in chaos. It's said that the heavenly devils come from the chaos and can't be killed. Sect Master didn't say anything either. Let's cultivate in peace. I'm just afraid that more and more heavenly devils will come. There will be enough to crush our array formation. What are you afraid of? Hurry up and cultivate. Don't always think of relying on the personal disciples and the sect master to protect you. We have to work hard. While the hidden sect disciples were discussing, Han Ju was checking his emails in the Taoist temple. Your good friend Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil and was severely injured. Your good friend, the heavenly emperor, was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil X-1244. Your son Han Tuo's bloodline has transformed due to an emotional outburst. Your good friend Empress Hutu was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil X-493. Your good friend Qiu Shilai was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil. His sage heart was damaged and his Buddha body was destroyed. Your good friend Shi Dudao was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil X879210. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by a mysterious heavenly devil X903277. Qiu Shilai was really pitiful. Hanju sympathized, but he had to stay calm. Qiu Shilai didn't save him. He only saved his good friend, and even plotted against Hanju now. Hanju's greatest repayment was to save the Buddhist sect in the future. It was impossible to save Qiu Shilai now. It had to be said that the heavenly devil's attack was very powerful this time. It looked like the immeasurable calamity. Looking down, his friends were all fighting with the heavenly devils. Hanju's blood boiled. Should he go out and fight to his heart's content? No. Stay cautious. He had to insta-kill the Tao heavenly devil first. Otherwise, if he cultivated for 40,000 years, and his Tao became nothing, it would be too awkward. Hanju took a deep breath to calm down. He suddenly had a question. Was there a huge conspiracy behind this heavenly devil attack? The heavenly emperor was even attacked by a heavenly devil in the deity realm of the ruins of End. Could it be that this calamity didn't just affect the heavenly Tao immortal world? Chapter 540 Everything in the World is My Sword. Chapter 540 Everything in the World is My Sword. I want to know if there's a greater conspiracy behind the Tao heavenly devil. Hanju thought silently. In his heart, the deity realm of the ruins of End was stronger than the immortal world. Even the heavenly devils dared to attack the deity realm of the ruins of End. Why would the Tao heavenly devil need to come to the immortal world? 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. No, Hanju raised his eyebrows and heaved a sigh of relief. That's good. It seemed that he was really thinking too much. Could it be that the Heavenly Emperor was not in danger in the deity realm of the ruins of End, but in the dark forbidden zone? Forget it. It was fine as long as there was no greater conspiracy. Hanju closed his eyes and continued to comprehend the great Tao of extreme origin. Time passed. Year after year. The number of heavenly devils around the 100-peak immortal river also increased. 100 years later, the number of heavenly devils near the 100-peak immortal river exceeded 1,000,000. Li Xian'eo came to visit him. Hanju let him enter the Taoist temple. Sect Master, the heavenly devils have already made the disciples in the sect panic. Should we arrange for them to go out and destroy the heavenly devils? Li Xian'eo bowed and asked respectfully. Hanju said calmly, the heavenly devils can't enter the Tao field. There's nothing to be afraid of. Li Xian'eo hesitated. Hanju asked, what do you want to ask? Just say it. Li Xian'eo took a deep breath and said, it's been a long time since you preached the Tao. It must be because of the heavenly devils. Many years ago, the sages joined forces to deal with the heavenly devils. However, as more and more heavenly devils appear, and the sages did not do anything, I'm afraid that the sages... He did not continue. Hanju said, what are you trying to say? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Li Xian'eo said, such an opportunity is the time for my hidden sect to prove itself. If the hidden sect can kill the heavenly devils, all living beings will owe us great karma. I feel that you might be the strongest sage in the world. Otherwise, those sages would have long come to find trouble. Why don't you take action and end this calamity? Hanju didn't say anything and stared at him calmly. Li Xian'eo lowered his head nervously. Hanju slowly stood up. Prepare for the lecture. This sentence resounded throughout the hidden sect. The 1,000,000 disciples became excited and surged towards the place of the lecture. As usual, he would preach for 100 years. In 100 years, most of the disciples had made breakthroughs. In the past, Hanju would leave directly after the lecture, but not this time. He sat on the top of the mountain and looked down at the 1,000,000 disciples immersed in Tao comprehension. They were all entranced. He began to observe the entire immortal world. Corpses were everywhere, and blood flowed like a sea. The heavenly devils spread throughout the 100 regions of the immortal world, and even began to invade the various mortal worlds. The heavenly Tao lifeforms were in danger. Sages couldn't defeat Tao heavenly devil, and the living beings of the heavenly Tao couldn't defeat billions of the heavenly devils. Hanju was silent. After a long while, wait, Hanju suddenly said, waking all the disciples. The disciples looked up at the high and mighty sect master with reverence. After everyone sobered up, Hanju slowly said, the heavenly devil calamity began in the 33rd heaven. The sages joined forces and passed down their providence to Sage Qiushilai. He and the leader of the heavenly devils fought outside the chaos for some time. What do you think of this calamity? The disciples looked at each other. The unnamed disciples did not dare to speak, and the personal disciples did not answer immediately. At this moment, a disciple flew into the sky and knelt down in the air, bowing to Hanju. Chu Shuren, Grandmaster, I think that the hidden sect can no longer hide. It's time to take action. Previously it was the immeasurable calamity. We could avoid it. The heavenly Tao can be restarted. But the heavenly devils came from outside the chaos. The sages are all in danger. If the heavenly devil's slaughter succeeds, where can we live? Chu Shuren cupped his fists and said firmly. With that said, many voices echoed in the 100-peak immortal river. That's right. The heavenly devils are detestable. I saw them tear apart living beings with my own eyes. They're extremely cruel. These heavenly devils are very evil at a glance. We can't kill them at all. If the immortal world is destroyed and the heavenly Tao is gone, won't the hidden sect still have to face the heavenly devils? That's right. Isn't the goal of our cultivation to survive? If the immortal world falls, where will we live? Senior Chu said well. We should destroy the heavenly devils. That's right, that's right. Hearing the indignant disciple's words, Hanju sighed. He had wanted to kill the Tao heavenly devil after breaking through, but he was still some time away. If he waited any longer, the immortal world would really be massacred. Hanju slowly stood up. Seeing him stand up, all the disciples shut up and didn't dare to say anything. He slowly raised his right hand and pointed his index finger at the sky. The sun and moon yin-yang protection revolved behind him. Divine light illuminated the 100-peak immortal river. At this moment he was so majestic. Everything in the world is my sword. Hanju's voice sounded. This time, it was not only the 100-peak immortal river, but all the worlds in the myriad worlds could hear it. The disciples of the hidden sect held their breaths as they stared at him. In an instant the world shook. The sea of clouds in the sky transformed into white swords one after another. Stone swords with sharp auras condensed on the mountains on the ground. Countless living beings were frightened, and the billions of heavenly devils were uneasy. Such a scene occurred in every corner of the immortal world and mortal worlds. A mountain transformed into a sword. The sea of blood transformed into swords. The trees transformed into swords. Flowers turned into swords. Dust turned into swords. Falling leaves turned into swords. Apart from the land itself, all things that were not sentient became swords. Such a scene shocked all living beings. The hidden sect disciples in the 100-peak immortal river also saw the situation outside the Tao field. All of them opened their mouths wide and were dumbfounded. They all heard Hanju's voice, which meant that this change in the world was caused by him. The sect master attacked to destroy the heavenly devils. Dao's sovereign, Liao Zhaoxinyuan, Zhou Fan, and the others were all excited. What a domineering mystical power! The disheveled Han Tuo and the bloody Han Ming looked up at the huge swords around them with disbelief. They hid in the mountains, but the surrounding mountains and trees turned into swords. Han Tuo couldn't understand. He felt that the voice just now was familiar, but he couldn't tell why. Hanju used the sage voice. It was domineering and imposing. In addition, Han Tuo had not seen his father for a long time. He had experienced countless living beings in thousands of years. He had already forgotten his father's voice. Even if he did, it was different from Hanju's sage voice. On the other hand, Han Ming clearly remembered. He attacked. Han Ming had a complicated expression as his heart trembled. Under their gazes, all the swords around them soared into the sky and attacked in all directions. One heavenly devil after another was destroyed by the swords formed by all things in the world, scaring the other heavenly devils away. After their bodies shattered, they directly turned into dust. There was no chance of recovery at all. In an instant, on the ground of the myriad worlds in the universe, countless sword shadows sped forward. The blood of the heavenly devils splattered, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. On the bare ground, all living beings looked up at this miracle. Shock, surprise, and sorrow from having survived the calamity all surged into their hearts. More and more living beings knelt down and worshipped the sky. Some also began to wail. Finally, a Messiah had arrived to save the world. Chapter 541, Clearing the Heavenly Devils in 10 Breaths. No Route to Retreat. Chapter 541, Clearing the Heavenly Devils in 10 Breaths. No route to retreat. Li Daokong floated high in the sky. Looking up, countless sword shadows sped in all directions, chasing after the heavenly devils. They were dense and spectacular. Li Daokong was excited. So the 10,000 life sword is so strong. This is definitely the strongest sword Tao mystical power. But I didn't study it thoroughly, he muttered to himself with an excited expression. Immediately, it was not only him. All the mighty figures in the immortal world were shocked by the power of the 10,000 life sword. In the endless sea on an island, Huang Zuantian stood on the roof and looked at the sword shadows that filled the sky with excitement. He remembered that voice. This mystical power is definitely from a sage. Huang Zuantian was extremely excited. He had indeed chosen the right person. Fortunately, he had always recognized Hanju. Otherwise, if he betrayed him, the consequences would be unimaginable. The world fell silent in less than 10 breaths of time. The heavenly devils of the myriad worlds were all annihilated as countless sword shadows descended. Mountains transformed back into mountains, clouds transformed back into clouds, and all things transformed back into their original forms. The power of a sage was so powerful. Inside the 100-peak immortal river, Hanju slowly put down his right hand. Under normal circumstances, if his sage power was used in the area of the heavenly Tao, it would be rejected by the heavenly Tao. However, since the heavenly Tao was being threatened by the heavenly devils, and its providence weakened, and he was trying to eliminate the heavenly devils who harmed the heavenly Tao, how could the heavenly Tao stop him? Clearing the heavenly devils with one move, Hanju was indifferent. After all, these were all small fries. The true enemy was still outside the 33rd heaven. Hanju looked down at the 1,000,000 disciples in the 100-peak immortal river. Every disciple had a fanatical expression. The heavenly devils of the myriad worlds have been eliminated. Is this what you wanted? Hanju asked. His words shocked the hidden sect disciples again. How long had it been? No one dared to answer his question. Everyone could tell that he was prepared to teach them a lesson. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The calamities of the heavenly Tao will never be eliminated. Today there are heavenly devils. In the future, we will definitely welcome an even stronger calamity. If you really want to protect the heavenly Tao, you should cultivate diligently. If the 1,000,000 disciples of my hidden sect are all zenith heaven, how can the heavenly Tao not be powerful? Hanju's words echoed in the ears of the 1,000,000 disciples, making them feel ashamed. Chu Shuren also felt ashamed. They felt that the heavenly Tao was about to die. But when they saw Hanju attack, they understood that this calamity was only child's play in the eyes of the strongest. Hanju said, "Disperse. Cultivate well. Don't have any distracting thoughts after entering the hidden sect. What nurtured you is not the heavenly Tao, but the hidden sect." Immediately after, he disappeared and returned to the Taoist temple. Sitting on the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus, Hanju opened his choices and chose the first option. Immediately come out of seclusion and kill the heavenly devils. The heavenly devils have yet to be completely cleaned up. You can't receive the reward. Hanju sighed. Indeed, he had to kill Tao heavenly devil first. He asked in his mind, if I go and reinforce Chioshilai and focus on fighting with all my might, will I die? 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. There is a 1% chance of death. Hanju showed a frown. I want to know what the 1% chance is. 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. In the darkness, there is also the Dharma idol of the Tao heavenly devil. His strength is comparable to the main body. Hanju was enlightened. Not bad. Fortunately, he had the system. Otherwise, he might have really been plotted against by the Tao heavenly devil's Dharma idol. Hanju entered the simulation trial again. This time, he set up 5 Tao heavenly devils to fight him. Because he didn't know the Tao heavenly devil's exact mystical power and Dharma idol, he decided to set up 2 more Tao heavenly devils. If he could win, he wouldn't be afraid of the other Dharma idols. An hour later, Hanju opened his eyes and exhaled. Not bad. He could kill him. It was just that it took a while. Hanju continued the simulation trial. His 74 fiend celestial Dharma idols had their own abilities. If they cooperated well, it would be very effective. He now wanted to find a strategy to quickly kill the 5 Tao heavenly devils. Outside the 33rd heaven, the sages gathered in a hall. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate's expression was ugly as he said in a low voice. You saw it, right? This kid is stronger than us, yet he refuses to make a move. Fuxishan said, he indeed has no reason to attack. He didn't rely on the providence of the heavenly Tao to attain the Tao. He even has very little heavenly Tao merit. Emperor Zhao's eyes flickered. He should have absorbed the negative karma in the 9 nether purgatory to attain the Tao. His sage power is extremely destructive and can directly destroy the heavenly devils. It's truly terrifying. Even if we don't abandon the heavenly Tao's providence, we might not be his match even if we join forces. Sect Master Tianju's expression was also ugly. They were about to beg for mercy, but now there was another Hanju. In addition, Hanju's strength should prove that he's not the Dark Forbidden Lord. There's no need for him to hide and curse us, Emperor Shao added, and looked at the other 3 sages. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate was furious, but he could not refute. It made sense. If they had Hanju's strength and disliked anyone, would they still need to hide and curse them? Previously, Sect Master Tianju had threatened to destroy the hidden sect. Hanju had a reason to attack them, and was not afraid that he would lose his reputation. If Hanju wasn't the Dark Forbidden Lord, who was he? Emperor Xiao said. It's really strange that Li Muyi left at this time. The ones who attacked the Kiliacosm world were not the heavenly devils. Fuxishan frowned. You mean Li Muyi is acting? That's right. After this battle ends, we can't be considered heavenly Dao sages. It's very likely that Qiu Shilai and the Dao Heavenly Devil will both be injured. Once Li Muyi returns, who will dare to challenge him? So far, there's actually one person who has not been cursed by the Dark Forbidden Lord. That person is Li Muyi. Emperor Xiao spoke very calmly, making it difficult to guess what he was thinking. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate and Sect Master Tianju were silent. It was indeed too coincidental. At this moment, a terrifying sound came from outside the hall. A hole was torn in the chaos, and a golden light sped out. It was Qiu Shilai. At this moment, Qiu Shilai was in an extremely sorry state. His golden Buddha body was covered in cracks, as if it would shatter at any moment. Fellow Taoists, save me! Qiu Shilai shouted anxiously. Upon hearing this, the 4 heavenly Dao sages immediately moved over and blocked in front of him. The black hole was like a chasm. It was extremely huge. A pair of blood-red eyes appeared in it. They were larger than any sage palace in the 33rd heaven. Dao Heavenly Devil. What? You only have 4 helpers? A cold laugh filled with mockery sounded. Furious, the 4 sages took out their Dharma treasures. They were all heavenly Dao sages. They couldn't retreat like Hanju and could only fight. Once the Dao Heavenly Devil penetrated the 33rd heaven, and the heavenly Dao was destroyed, they would also die. Qiu Shilai gritted his teeth and said, there are even more heavenly devils inside. They far exceed the number of heavenly devils from before. Furthermore, their cultivation levels are even stronger. Terror flashed across his eyes. He tried his best to hide it. He couldn't be afraid. If he was afraid and gave up, the heavenly Dao would really die here. Chapter 542 Despair of the Sages, Fiend Celestial's Ambush. Chapter 542 Despair of the Sages. Fiend Celestial's ambush in the black hole. The Dao Heavenly Devil's eyes suddenly disappeared. A pair of huge claws reached out and grabbed the 2 ends of the black hole, tearing it open. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Fuxishan, and Emperor Xiao were extremely nervous. Qiu Shilai's miserable state gave them immense pressure. They attacked one after another. Boundless dermic powers transformed into 4 torrents that collided with the huge black hole in the distance. But they did not cause any damage. The Dao Heavenly Devil tore at the black hole and quickly widened it. His sinister and terrifying head stretched out with a greedy expression. His long tongue stretched out from his mouth and stirred the chaotic chi of the 33rd heaven. Sect Master Tianju slashed out with his sword. An extremely dazzling sword chi attacked, and almost instantly collided with the Dao Heavenly Devil's head. The Dao Heavenly Devil suddenly took a deep breath and sucked the sword chi into his stomach. Immediately after, the Dao Heavenly Devil crawled out as if he had gone mad. A terrifying roar resounded in the 33rd heaven. All the living beings in the immortal world could vaguely hear it. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju opened his eyes and looked up. He saw the Dao Heavenly Devil enter the 33rd heaven and fight with the sages. The sages weren't the Dao Heavenly Devil's match at all. They were completely suppressed. Endless heavenly devils surged out from the black hole behind the Dao Heavenly Devil. They were ferocious and terrifying. Again, Hanju raised his eyebrows, but didn't attack immediately. It was a good opportunity to kill with a borrowed knife. The sages had always been plotting against him. He could use this opportunity to suppress them. However, he didn't want them to die. At the very least, he wanted them to be severely injured, so that he could rest in peace for many years to come. Hanju continued the simulation trial and looked for a strategy. Every time he ended a trial, he would look up at the battle situation. Sages were sages after all. Even if they couldn't win, they wouldn't die so easily. Furthermore, in the area of the heavenly Dao, even if their bodies were destroyed, the heavenly Tao would revive them. It repeated the cycle. Half a year passed. Hanju ended the simulation trial again. The time needed to kill the 5 Tao heavenly devils decreased to 5 minutes. This was already the limit. He looked up again and discovered that Empress Hudu had actually gone to help. If it was any other sage, Hanju could leave them in the lurch. However, Empress Hudu was on good terms with him, and reincarnation needed her. Hanju couldn't let her die. Hanju stood up and stretched. I'll hide and ambush them later. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Hanju thought silently. In the simulation trial, the opponent's setup would directly attack the challenger. He had no chance to ambush them. In reality, if the sneak attack succeeded, the time it took to kill the Tao Heavenly Devil might be even shorter. After stretching, Hanju jumped out of the Tao field nervously and came to the 33rd heaven. He turned invisible and hid in the darkness. The Tao Heavenly Devil was surrounded by the sages, and countless heavenly devils floated outside the battle area. These heavenly devils couldn't touch the sages at all. Even if they were destroyed, they would still advance one after another. The battlefield covered a radius of billions of kilometers. The heavenly devils were everywhere. Hanju still had to find the direction. He quietly circled behind the Tao Heavenly Devil. The heavenly devils could be revived. Hanju had to use the Void Fiend Celestial and the Devour Fiend Celestial's power to eliminate them. The Void Fiend Celestial turned the heavenly devils into nothingness, and the Devour Fiend Celestial devoured them directly. Both could directly eliminate the heavenly devils. The Tao Heavenly Devil was stronger than ordinary heavenly devils. Even if Hanju combined these two powers, he couldn't insta-kill him. However, as long as he could suppress him, he could exhaust the Tao Heavenly Devil to death. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate was killed by Tao Heavenly Devil again. His sage soul quickly escaped. A pillar of light descended from the sky and shone on his sage soul. Immediately after, it reformed his body. The other sages continued to fight. Even Xiaoxilai was fighting. Empress Hutu was located behind the sages, waving her long staff. 7 colored lights scattered down and guided the providence of the heavenly Tao into the sages. This was support. Hanju cursed silently when he saw this scene. Then, he transformed into a heavenly devil and quietly approached the Tao Heavenly Devil. He used the power of the Hidden Fiend Celestial, as if he was a true heavenly devil. The other heavenly devils couldn't sense at all. No, we can't block it. Emperor Shao sent a voice transmission. The sages had established a sage sense voice transmission that allowed them to communicate easily without opening their mouths. Sect Master Tianju gritted his teeth and sent a voice transmission. We have to. We have no way to retreat. We have no choice. Xiaoxilai's eyes were also extremely determined. At this moment, he had already forgotten his fear. He would still die even if he left the heavenly Tao. They could only fight. Empress Huta looked at Tao Heavenly Devil's terrifying and mighty body with fear. Su, the terror of the Tao Heavenly Devil, was something that could be sensed with the naked eye. In the 33rd heaven, his height was immeasurable, as if all living beings were extremely tiny in front of him. The sages tried their best to fight, but their hearts were filled with despair. Their only hope now was Ancestor Shitian. They hoped that Ancestor Shitian would return in time. However, every time Ancestor Shitian went out to discuss the Tao, it would take at least 1,000,000 years for him to return. How many years had it been since he left? They could only hope that Ancestor Shitian could sense the heavenly Tao's danger. Are you afraid? Is this the power of the heavenly Tao sages? Among the grudges I absorbed, many ghosts are filled with reverence for sages. If they knew that sages were so humble, what would they think? The Tao Heavenly Devil laughed wildly, his tone filled with killing intent. The sages fought in silence. At this moment, the Tao Heavenly Devil suddenly sensed something and turned around. Hanju was already 10,000 kilometers away from him. 10,000 kilometers was extremely far for mortals, but to them, it was already an extremely dangerous distance. The moment the Tao Heavenly Devil turned his head, Hanju suddenly revealed his true form. His supreme treasures were activated and emitted a dazzling divine light. Two fiend celestial Dharma idols suddenly emerged from Hanju's body and pounced on the Tao Heavenly Devil. Void Fiend Celestial. Devour Fiend Celestial. They were black shadows. The Void Fiend Celestial wrapped around the Tao Heavenly Devil as quickly as possible. The Devour Fiend Celestial pounced on the Tao Heavenly Devil and bit off its huge head. Hanju shook his arms, and the remaining 72 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols erupted at the same time. In an instant, the void was occupied by the 72 majestic and terrifying figures. The 72 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols surrounded the Tao Heavenly Devil and attacked. The heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial punched out angrily. The wind from his fist swept through the 10 million heavenly devils and pierced through their abdomens. Shadow Flood Fiend Celestial transformed into countless Fiend Celestial shadows that attacked the heavenly devils in all directions. The Extreme Ice Fiend Celestial struck out with his palm, causing the power of extreme ice to freeze the chaotic space. Even the Sage Tao field was frozen. The Qi Fiend Celestial dispersed the chaotic Qi, leaving only the Tao Heavenly Devil and the Fiend Celestial Dharma Idol in the Fiend Celestial battlefield. The other Dharma idols used their great Tao to destroy the Tao Heavenly Devil. The Tao Heavenly Devil was suppressed until he couldn't fight back. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Emperor Shao, Qiu Shilai, and Empress Hutu were all dumbfounded and speechless. Qiu Shilai trembled in disbelief. He couldn't accept what was happening. He knew that Hanju was very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong. The lawless Tao Heavenly Devil was directly pressed down by him and couldn't move. He endured Hanju's torture. Impossible. Didn't he just attain the Tao? Why was he so strong? Chapter 543 Primordial Heavenly Prison. Immeasurable Merit Divine Might Heavenly Sage. Chapter 543 Primordial Heavenly Prison. Immeasurable Merit Divine Might Heavenly Sage Hanju ignored the sage's expressions and focused on fighting, guarding against the two Dharma idols of the Tao Heavenly Devil. Being suppressed by the great Tao power of the 74 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols, the Tao Heavenly Devil couldn't withstand it at all. The Tao Heavenly Devil's body was torn apart and quickly recovered. This cycle repeated again and again. During this process, his aura quickly weakened. The Tao Heavenly Devil would die as long as Hanju suppressed him like this. Even though he knew this, Hanju didn't dare to let his guard down. The 33rd heaven was frozen. There was dark blue ice as far as the eye could see. Countless heavenly devils were struggling to break out of the ice. But other than the Tao Heavenly Devil, how could the other heavenly devils resist Hanju's great dharmic powers? Hanju slowly rose to the sky above all the Fiend Celestial Dharma idols. Looking down at the battle, his sage sense swept in all directions to guard against the two Dharma idols of the Tao Heavenly Devil. All sorts of great Tao power landed on the Tao Heavenly Devil's broken body. All sorts of strange lights shone. They were refracted by the extreme ice of the 33rd heaven. The entire 33rd heaven fell into a strange and mysterious dream. The sages did not let down their guard. They waited solemnly and stared at the Tao Heavenly Devil, afraid that he would suddenly erupt. The Tao Heavenly Devil's self-healing ability far exceeded that of the other heavenly devils. He constantly recovered his body, and the devouring speed of the Fiend Celestial was inferior to his recovery speed. About 20 breaths of time passed. The situation suddenly changed. Hanju felt two extremely strong killing intents coming from both sides. He immediately moved and dodged easily. Turning around, he saw two Tao Heavenly Devils colliding. They looked no different from the Tao Heavenly Devil himself. The sages widened their eyes. There was more than one Tao Heavenly Devil. Qiu Shilai was even more stunned. He had never seen the Tao Heavenly Devil's two Dharma idols before. If both Dharma idols appeared at the same time, Qiu Shilai didn't dare to think further. He only felt his blood run cold, and his heart fill with fear. The 74 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols continued to destroy the Tao Heavenly Devil. Hanju turned around and prepared to deal with the two Dharma idols. The Grand Unity aspect was only one of his methods. He didn't completely rely on it. Hanju raised his right hand, and the Primordial Judgment Sword appeared in his palm. With a shake of his right hand, the sword blade shook out an afterimage. Countless sword shadows shot out like a huge silver-white lotus blooming, dazzling in magnificent mystical power, unparalleled sword chi. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. A Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol suddenly stepped forward and opened its bloody mouth. It spat out a terrifying aura of resentment. It was scarlet and terrifying. It was like a huge river that connected the heavens and the earth. Boom! The sword chi collided with the river of resentment, emitting a domineering wind that shook the endless ice. Hanju raised his eyebrows. This fellow was something. This resentment aura was extremely corrosive. It could even melt his sword chi. Hanju took out the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus and attacked the Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol. The rolling grudge spat out by the Tao Heavenly Devil was directly absorbed by the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. The 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus quickly approached the Tao Heavenly Devil with the vast grudge. The other Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol suddenly disappeared, reappearing behind Hanju. In an instant, Hanju felt the surrounding space freeze. A powerful pressure surged from all directions. Hanju immediately used the Great Traversal Divine Shadow. He split into 9 divine shadows and attacked the second Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol. The second Tao Heavenly Devil's eyes widened, the chaotic space fluctuated visibly, and the speed of the 9 Great Traversal Divine Shadows slowed down. One can use resentment, and the other can freeze space. Their abilities are different from the main body. Hanju thought silently. He didn't panic. The aura of the Tao Heavenly Devil's main body became weaker and weaker. It couldn't withstand the grand unity aspect anymore. When he died, the 2 Dharma idols would naturally be nothing to fear. At this moment, the sages attacked one after another, restraining the second Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol. They could tell that Hanju's 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus suppressed the first Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol, so they restricted the second. Hanju immediately controlled the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus to suppress the first Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol. No matter what mystical power the first Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idol used, it was all absorbed by the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Boom! The Tao Heavenly Devil's main body was completely shattered, but in the next second, his legs recovered. But his legs were no longer enough to support him. Who are you? The Tao Heavenly Devil's venomous voice sounded. Hanju didn't answer. Suddenly, the strange deity flew out from the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. The sages couldn't see it, but the Tao Heavenly Devil could. No! The Tao Heavenly Devil shouted in horror as the strange deity rushed over. Hanju accurately controlled the Fiend Celestial Dharma idol and didn't hurt it. The Tao Heavenly Devil's legs were devoured again and turned into dust. He suddenly condensed into a black ball of light and tried to escape. However, the Nightmare Fiend Celestial reached out and grabbed the black ball of light that the Tao Heavenly Devil had transformed into. The strange deity flew over and devoured the black ball of light. The other 2 Tao Heavenly Devil Dharma idols roared and turned into dust. The Heavenly Devils frozen in the endless ice also turned into dust. The 33rd heaven fell silent. Hanju didn't relax. Instead, he quickly moved around the 33rd heaven and kept using the simulation trial to detect the surrounding enemies. The sages were stunned. They looked at him nervously, not understanding what he was doing. Could it be that the Tao Heavenly Devil was still alive? You have killed all the heavenly devils and obtained a great Tao fragment, a supreme treasure, and a chance to activate a new function of the system. Congratulations on obtaining a Freedom Supreme Treasure. Heavenly Devil Heart Protecting Jade. Heavenly Devil Heart Protecting Jade. Freedom Supreme Treasure. Its defense is extremely strong. It can summon the Heavenly Devil to protect itself and defend against a blow from a Freedom Sage. Congratulations on activating a new function of the system Primordial Heavenly Prison. Primordial Heavenly Prison. It can only be located in the Tao field. If any existence is imprisoned, depending on their cultivation, the imprisoned time will be different until they become a Tao field slave. Their life and death will be controlled by the Lord of the Tao field. The primordial heavenly prison can only imprison one living being at the same time. Hanju didn't pay attention to the lines of words in front of him. He moved repeatedly and jumped through the 33rd heaven. After confirming that there were no powerful enemies, he heaved a sigh of relief. He left after saying, "The heavenly devil calamity has been resolved. Fellow Taoists, don't worry." Hanju took away the strange deity and jumped back into the Tao field. Hanju was still very nervous, even after returning to the Taoist temple. It was finally resolved. How thrilling! It had to be said that the other sages had also contributed greatly to this battle. Hanju's impression of them improved, but only slightly. He didn't let down his guard. At this moment, a loud voice resounded through the myriad worlds. The heavenly devil calamity has been eliminated. Fortunately, the sect master of the hidden sect took action. I, Chioshilai, will use the name of the sect master of the Tao sect and the heavenly Tao to confer the immeasurable merit divine, might heavenly sage title to the hidden sect's sect master. I hope that all living beings will remember his meritorious deed. From now on, the Tao sect and the hidden sect will be on good terms. All past grudges will disappear like smoke. Hanju was stunned. This guy. It was unexpected, but on second thought it made sense. The sages would definitely not dare to find trouble with Hanju anymore. It was better to appease him and resolve the grudge now. It was a favor and could end their bad karma. Such an action was expected of a sage. Chapter 544 3 Pure Sacred Ancestors Submission. Chapter 544 3 Pure Sacred Ancestors Submission. Hanju focused on the newly obtained supreme treasure. The heavenly devil heart-protecting jade was a freedom supreme treasure that was even stronger than a heavenly Tao treasure. He took it out and started to make it recognize him as its owner. Then, he checked the new function of the system. Primordial heavenly prison. This was interesting. He could make powerful enemies submit and become his slave. Hanju had a bold thought. Could he trick a mighty figure in and pretend to discuss the Tao, stall for time, and subtly subdue the other party? On second thought, it should not. After all, the system would change its will. How could it not notice this process? Please choose the location of the primordial heavenly prison. The virtual map of the Tao field appeared in front of him. Behind it was the landscape of the entire 100-peak immortal river. The two maps overlapped. Hanju chose his Taoist temple. This was the safest way. He would watch over it personally. Primordial heavenly prison arranged successfully. Hanju looked around and didn't feel anything different. He had to capture a living being to try. Who should he capture? Hanju first thought of the 3 pure sacred ancestor. This fellow couldn't be killed in the heavenly Tao. He was the best test subject. Li Muyi didn't seem to be in the heavenly Tao's territory. Perfect. Boom! The 100-peak immortal river suddenly shook violently. A dazzling pillar of light descended from the sky, piercing through the Tao field and landing on Hanju. Heavenly Tao merit. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The Tao field wouldn't reject such a force that was not an attack. Hanju put away all the heavenly Tao merit and didn't absorb it directly. He didn't need heavenly Tao merit, but it could exist in a corner of the primordial world. Wait, I can use it to infiltrate the immortal world. Hanju's eyes lit up as he suddenly thought of a bold idea. He had to make the heavenly devil heart-protecting jade recognize him as its owner first. In the south of the immortal world, in a continuous mountain, there was a Taoist temple halfway up the mountain. A huge cauldron in front of the door had smoke curling up. Hanju suddenly appeared, his body wrapped in 7-colored light. This was the heavenly Tao merit. With the heavenly Tao merit, Hanju would not be expelled by the heavenly Tao. He looked at the Taoist temple and put the 3 pure sacred ancestor into his sleeve. With a shake of his body, he returned to the 100-peak immortal river. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju released the 3 pure sacred ancestor. Without waiting for him to react, his right hand quickly waved his dermic powers to suppress the 3 pure sacred ancestors' Tao fruit and seal his dermic powers. The 3 pure sacred ancestor couldn't move. His eyes widened, What's happening? The three pure sacred ancestor was shocked as unprecedented fear surged in his heart. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Even sages couldn't enter the immortal world to capture him. The other party could only be stronger than a heavenly Tao sage. He had heard Li Muyi say that there were indeed people stronger than the heavenly Tao sages. Hanju silently activated the primordial heavenly prison. Beginning imprisonment, the three pure sacred ancestors stared at him. Hanju smiled calmly and said, "You'll be a guest for a period of time and discuss the Tao with me." The three pure sacred ancestor couldn't speak, so he could only use his divine sense to ask who the other party was. "You've been here before, but you were defeated. 100 Peak Immortal River. Are you the hidden sect's master? Why are you imprisoning me? You will understand in the future." The three pure sacred ancestor fell silent. Unable to break free, he did not want to talk anymore. He could only wait quietly for Li Muyi to save him. However, his heart sank when he thought of how Li Muyi had recently left the heavenly Tao. It was said to be a discussion of the Tao, but in the end, there was still no discussion. The Taoist temple fell into silence. To prevent any accidents, Hanju let Zhang Ju in to look at the three pure sacred ancestor, while he cultivated in peace. The three pure sacred ancestor was dumbfounded when he saw Zhang Ju. "Li Muyi! Impossible!" This time his mind was in chaos. Did Li Muyi order Hanju to capture him? He hurriedly used his divine sense to ask Zhang Ju, but he did not answer at all. He was expressionless, as if he had no emotions. The three pure sacred ancestors' heart sank, and his faith shattered. He thought that the master he had always protected had betrayed him. The three pure sacred ancestor fell into unprecedented confusion. Hanju ignored him and focused on cultivating. He had benefited greatly from the battle with the Tao Heavenly Devil. Unlike the simulation trial, the excitement brought by true battle couldn't be simulated. In the simulation trial, Hanju knew that he wouldn't die, so he was fearless in battle. His mental state was definitely different from real battles. The Taoist temple fell into silence, but the 100 Peak Immortal River was very lively. Not only the 100 Peak Immortal River, but also the myriad worlds in the universe. They were all lively and noisy. The name of the immeasurable merit divine might heavenly sage resounded throughout the myriad worlds. This heavenly devil calamity affected the myriad worlds in the universe. The calamity was unprecedentedly serious. The sect master of the hidden sect did not save a world this time, but the entire heavenly Tao. The merit was far greater than the merit of creating races and preaching in the past. It was the truth. The merit Hanju absorbed was extremely huge. It was as dazzling as a bright sun in the primordial world. Year after year passed. More and more living beings appeared around the 100 Peak Immortal River. They were all here to seek the Tao. Even if the 100 Peak Immortal River ignored them, many persistent people insisted on staying. In the entire immortal world, statues of the immeasurable merit divine, might heavenly sage were erected everywhere. However, they didn't know Hanju's appearance, so there were all kinds of statues. The hidden sect hid from the world, and Li Daokong did not return. So the million disciples quickly fell into their previous cultivation state. However, every time they heard the living beings outside the Tao field praise the immeasurable merit divine might heavenly sage, they were very excited and felt proud. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 800 years passed. Primordial heavenly prison has successfully enslaved the target. The three pure sacred ancestor has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, max. Just as this notification appeared, Hanju suddenly sensed something. He established a connection with the three pure sacred ancestor. This connection was very similar to the 6 paths insignia. If he wanted the three pure sacred ancestor to die, he would definitely die. This feeling was extremely strange, but it was indeed true. Hanju was pleasantly surprised. The primordial heavenly prison was indeed a little powerful. Come to think of it, with the existence of max favorability, 6 stars weren't the highest? Not bad. Hanju felt that he had to re-evaluate his favorability. He opened his eyes to look at the three pure sacred ancestor. The other party was still meditating. Hanju asked, "Three pure sacred ancestor?" The other party opened his eyes and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Tao Lord." Hanju sized him up and said, "Kneel." The three pure sacred ancestor immediately knelt down. "Roll." The three pure sacred ancestor immediately rolled around. "Slap yourself in the face." This time, Hanju completely believed it. After all, the three pure sacred ancestor didn't know the primordial heavenly prison's function. Even if he pretended, he didn't have to work so hard. Hanju immediately helped him up. "Three pure, I'm just testing you. Sorry. I needed you too much. You're the number one in the immortal world. My hidden sect needs an expert like you." He began to praise the three pure sacred ancestor, who was very touched. After some communication, Hanju discovered that the three pure sacred ancestor didn't completely lose his intelligence. He only subtly trusted Hanju completely. He still had his own thoughts. Hanju decided to let the three pure sacred ancestor out. He might even be a spy beside Li Mui. That day, he had moved the three pure sacred ancestor out. Other than Zhangju, no one knew about this. As for Li Mui, he was probably still in the Kiliacosm world. Otherwise, he would have long come to visit. This function doesn't seem to have a price. I can spend time enslaving the entire immortal world. Chapter 545 Chaotic City Dijuan. Chapter 545 Chaotic City Dijuan. It felt good to enslave the entire immortal world. However, he spent 800 years just on the three pure sacred ancestor. How many cultivators were there in the immortal world? Moreover, even if he enslaved the entire immortal world, how beneficial was it to Hanju? At this moment, the entire immortal world would definitely lose if they attacked him. Why waste time and delay his cultivation? With the three pure sacred ancestor beside him, Hanju couldn't cultivate in peace. After thinking, he stood up. "That's all. I should use the primordial heavenly prison less. The more I use it, the easier it will be to expose myself. I have to use it when it's most needed." Hanju thought silently. The system also had its limits. It wouldn't be good if he encountered a powerful existence that far exceeded the system, and the other party saw through it at a glance. After stretching, Hanju walked out of the Taoist temple and summoned all the disciples to prepare for the lecture. After the heavenly devil calamity ended, this was Hanju's first time preaching. The disciples were all very excited. They often heard the living beings near the 100-peak immortal river praising Hanju, causing them to want to see him again. However, over the years, even the personal disciples and guardians couldn't see him. It was still the same place as before. Hanju sat on the mountain peak and waited for a while before starting the lecture. The disciples quickly entered a meditative state and began to comprehend the Tao. After preaching for 100 years, the cycle of spring and autumn had changed. The world had changed again. After the lecture, Hanju came to the Fusang tree. He asked the Fusang tree to open the spatial vortex that led to the Kiliacosm world for him to probe with his sage sense. The Kiliacosm world wasn't attacked by heavenly devils. Instead, it was ravaged by the inauspicious evil. Because he had fused with the strange deity, Hanju could see the inauspicious evil. The entire Kiliacosm world was filled with inauspicious evil. There were countless of them, like the scene of the heavenly devils in the past. However, all living beings couldn't see the inauspicious evil and died for no reason, causing their fear and despair to far exceed the living beings of the previous immortal world. Li Mui fought a mysterious existence above the Kiliacosm world. Dark Sage King. This Dark Sage King wasn't inferior to the Tao Heavenly Devil. However, he wasn't much stronger. Hanju had no intention of supporting Li Mui and let them fight. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Then he began to observe the world the 1,000 disciples were in. It was considered peaceful. There were no heavenly devils or inauspicious evil. It formed a world of its own and developed steadily. Some immortal emperors were lost. This was normal. How could there be no danger? Hanju watched for a while before turning around and preparing to leave. At this moment, the black hell chicken suddenly flew over. It chuckled. "Master, I haven't looked for you for a long time. Can you?" Hanju said. "Follow me." The black hell chicken immediately became excited. The man and chicken returned to the Taoist temple. The Black Hell Chicken wanted Hanju to teach it the Sword Tao mystical power. Hanju didn't reject it, and was even a little glad. Hanju was the closest to the Black Hell Chicken compared to his son, Tao companions, and disciples. The Black Hell Chicken had always accompanied him. Although it had a sharp tongue, it could always help the new disciples blend in. It could quickly reduce the estrangement and unfamiliarity between the disciples. However, although the Black Hell Chicken usually cultivated, it did not have a strong thought of becoming stronger. Hanju taught his strongest Sword Tao mystical power to the Black Hell Chicken. 10,000 life sword. Great Tao mystical power. 5 years later, the Black Hell Chicken left the Taoist temple with a conflicted expression. When it passed Zhangju, it chuckled. "Old fellow, I'm about to rise. Do you have time to practice alone?" Zhangju ignored him. Bored, the Black Hell Chicken looked at the crimson fox not far away. It smiled and said, "Little fox, do you dare to spar with me?" The crimson fox said angrily, "How can a chicken defeat a fox?" The Black Hell Chicken almost died of anger. "Come," the crimson fox said. "You want to disturb Master's cultivation?" The Black Hell Chicken could only leave indignantly. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju sighed. This stinky chicken's comprehension was not good. Should he let it re-roll its life? He stopped thinking and opened the emails. Your good friend Qiu Shilai has comprehended the heavenly Tao. His sage heart has been repaired. Your good friend Han Ming was attacked by a deity realm existence. His body was destroyed, and only a remnant soul was left. Your son Han Tua has awakened his innate mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Shi Du Dao was attacked by your good friend Li Daokong, X7. Your good friend Emperor Shao was cursed by a mysterious curse. Your good friend Empress Hutu established the reincarnation heaven and earth. Her cultivation has increased greatly. Red. Your good friend Huang Zuantian has received guidance from a sage. His providence has increased greatly. Li Daokong was still fighting Shi Du Dao. As expected of him, Hanju could sense that Li Daokong was growing rapidly and was not severely injured. As for the other emails, Hanju didn't care. In short, peace returned to the immortal world. Qiu Shilai wants to visit you in your dreams. Do you accept? A notification appeared in front of him. This time, Qiu Shilai's attitude changed, and he didn't dare to spam anymore. Hanju thought for a moment and accepted the dream. It had already happened several times. There was no need to deduce first. Even if the heavenly Tao wanted to target him, it was impossible. Hanju had the heavenly Tao merit. The heavenly Tao power couldn't harm him. This was why so many experts pursued merit and preached the Tao to the heavens. In the dream, seeing Qiu Shilai, he was no longer as tall as Hanju. Qiu Shilai smiled and said, Immeasurable merit divine might heavenly sage. Are you satisfied with this name? Hanju said, It's all right. What's the matter? This fellow's attitude had changed too quickly. Wasn't he very arrogant in the past? Now only one, the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju Fuxishan, Emperor Shao, and you are left. Sage Jinan and Sage Fated Secrets have already gone mad and are suppressed in their respective Tao fields. The matter of the heavenly devils has made us wary. We are prepared to build the chaotic city and guard the chaotic domain of the 33rd heaven. This is a great merit. We will send our disciples to join. What about you? Qiu Shilai asked with a smile. Hanju asked, Must I make arrangements? Qiu Shilai hurriedly waved his hand. Of course not. You're our savior. If you're unwilling, that's fine. However, this is a great merit given by the heavenly Tao. Although the heavenly devils are eliminated, there might be greater calamities in the future. Now the inauspicious evil of the dark forbidden zone is a potential calamity. You can rest assured. We sages have already communicated. We won't scheme against you in the future. If you want, we can even acknowledge you as the great sage of the heavenly Tao, such as the past Li Mui. We can even support the hidden sect as the winner of the next immeasurable calamity, allowing the hidden sect to truly gain a foothold, like the various providence sects in the past. These words were very sincere and made Hanju feel comfortable. But he wouldn't be fooled. He wouldn't tie himself to the heavenly Tao sages. I'll consider it. With that, Hanju left the dream. Inside the Taoist temple, Hanju was about to continue cultivating when someone sent a dream again. Dijuan sent you a dream. Do you accept? Dijuan sent you a dream. Do you accept? Dijuan began to spam. Hanju cursed silently. Qiushilai finally calmed down. Why was someone else causing trouble now? Dijuan was in existence on the same level as ancestor Shitian. He couldn't provoke him. Tens of thousands of years ago, he had also sent a dream to him, but he was ignored. He guessed that Dijuan already knew that he had eliminated the heavenly devil calamity. If he ignored it, it would be very easy to offend him. Thus he had to deduce first. Chapter 546 Calamity of the Primordial Fiend Celestial. Chapter 546 Calamity of the Primordial Fiend Celestial. Will I be in danger if I accept Dijuan's dream? 160 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Amazing! The strongest heavenly Tao sage was only worth 4 billion years of lifespan. It was obvious how strong Dijuan was. Continue. Hanju silently made his choice. Not for the time being. What did it mean by that? Could it be that there would be danger after entering the dream? Hanju continued to ask. This dream will not be dangerous for the time being. Hanju stopped when he saw this. Dijuan was still spamming away. Hanju chose to accept the dream. In the blink of an eye, he came to a dark universe. To be precise, it was a hall. It only revealed the images of the stars in the universe. It was magnificent. Hanju saw Dijuan sitting in front of a translucent chessboard. Dijuan was as his name implied. He was indeed handsome, and had a smile on his face. He had the calm temperament of a benevolent lord. He was quite different from the legendary image. At least in his impression, Dijuan should be very dignified. From the portrait he was not so gentle. Hanju walked over and bowed. After all, the other party was his elder brother. He had to be polite. Dijuan sized him up and praised him. I didn't expect the heavenly Tao to have someone like you who used your strength to attain the Tao. You're really impressive. Hanju said humbly. Compared to a mighty figure like you, I'm nothing. Although I don't know who you are, this dream makes me feel that you are unfathomable. I'm amazed. Dijuan stroked his beard and smiled. The two of them began to exchange pleasantries. Hanju hated pleasantries the most, but the other party was far stronger than him. He could only be polite. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. He silently used the simulation trial to copy Dijuan's cultivation. After a long while, Dijuan returned to the topic. I came to visit you in your dreams this time. It's regarding the great Tao immeasurable calamity. According to the Tao ancestors' message, the primordial fiend celestial will rise in the immortal world and lead the chaotic fiend celestials to engulf the great Tao. You are another variable. You're either the primordial fiend celestial or the person with the greatest hope of resisting it. Hanju asked in surprise, what is a primordial fiend celestial? Before the creation of the world, there was chaos. Before chaos was the primordial chaos. You can understand it as a generation older than Pangu and the Tao ancestor. We suspect that before the birth of chaos, there was a flourishing era that was even more prosperous. It was the era of the primordial fiend celestial. However, for some reason, the primordial chaos shattered and created chaos. After that, chaos stepped on the path of the primordial chaos and was torn apart by the chaotic fiend celestials, producing the great Tao and the heavenly Tao. So the primordial fiend celestial is very strong. That's right. I'm not a primordial fiend celestial, and I don't want to fight it. It's too dangerous. Hanju frowned and looked very nervous. Dijuan wasn't surprised. He smiled and said, no one is stronger than you in the current heavenly Tao. The primordial fiend celestial shouldn't have grown yet, or even been born. Hanju asked in surprise, since it's not born yet, why are you looking for me? To remind me? To kill the primordial fiend celestial in its infancy? That's right. Dijuan's gaze became sharp. Hanju felt an indescribable pressure. This pressure was not strong enough, but it made him very uncomfortable. Dijuan stared at him and said, Hanju, do you dare to accept this mission? If you succeed, I will give you an unparalleled opportunity to escape the illusion. Escape the illusion? Hanju suddenly recalled that many years ago, when he dreamed of a giant, he had mentioned something similar. It was as if Hanju was in an illusion. Now that Dijuan also said that, what did that mean? Hanju was about to ask when Dijuan said, I know what you want to ask. Our realms are different. You will understand when you touch the great Tao. Hanju frowned. What are the characteristics of the primordial fiend celestial? Dijuan shook his head. No one knows about the primordial fiend celestial. We who have attained the great Tao have never seen the primordial fiend celestial, either. The primordial fiend celestial is only a concept suggested by the Tao ancestor. Perhaps it doesn't really exist, but there will definitely be living beings leading the great Tao calamity. Just wait patiently. Hanju pretended to think. Who was the primordial fiend celestial? What could the primordial fiend celestial be? Hanju directly blocked his memories and didn't dare to remember that he was the primordial fiend celestial. Dijuan was an existence that surpassed sages. Hanju had to be careful. He even had to pretend in his mind. You can visit me if you come to the deity realm of the ruins of End in the future. After saying that, Dijuan waved his hand. The dream shattered. Hanju's consciousness returned to reality. He secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Who would go to the deity realm of the ruins of End? I'm finally invincible in the immortal world. How can I switch to a high-level map and get beaten up? It seems that I can't expose the primordial fiend celestial's identity. Otherwise, it will be too dangerous. Hanju thought silently. He even made up his mind not to leave the heavenly Tao. It was too dangerous outside. The heavenly Tao was still the best. He was about to break through. He could do whatever he wanted when he grasped the heavenly Tao's providence. The primordial fiend celestial who unifies the chaotic fiend celestials. Isn't that me? Hanju knew his limits. He would actually trigger the great Tao immeasurable calamity? Something was wrong. If that's the case, why does the Tao ancestor trust me a variable? I want to know, does the Tao ancestor think I'm a primordial fiend celestial? It involves an existence that surpasses the system's limits. It is impossible to deduce. Amazing. Hanju raised his eyebrows. The Tao ancestor's realm was truly unfathomable. He had thought that the Tao ancestor was the limit of the heavenly Tao. He knew from Dijuan that it was far more than that. Hanju changed his mind and asked, who thinks I'm the primordial fiend celestial? 180 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Really? Hanju immediately chose to continue. A figure appeared in his mind, and lines of words appeared in front of him. 7 Tao Sage, this fellow. Hanju suddenly became nervous. The 7 Tao Sage's Dharma idol was in the Tao field. It was Zhou Fan. Could it be that the 7 Tao Sage was spying on him? Hanju immediately asked. 180 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Not for the time being. Then, why does he think I'm a primordial fiend celestial? Guess this time, his lifespan was not deducted. Hanju frowned and asked uneasily, is the 7 Tao Sage harming me? Not for the time being. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. 4 questions at once. Although 2 did not deduct his lifespan, it was still a lot. It had to be said that Hanju panicked just now. He could use a more perfect way to ask. Hanju immediately sent a voice transmission to Zhou Fan. Soon he came to visit. Zhou Fan asked excitedly, Master, are you teaching me a mystical power? Hanju said calmly, you're already a Zenith Heaven cultivator. Do you want to go out and train? Zhou Fan was stunned. He asked in surprise, isn't it only possible for a pseudo-sage to go out? The heavenly devil calamity has been eliminated. The sages established the chaotic city in the 33rd heaven. The disciples of the various sects will go. I want you to represent the hidden sect. Chaotic city? All right, I'll go. Zhou Fan's eyes lit up, and he immediately replied. The 33rd heaven was the territory of the sages. Furthermore, this matter could represent the hidden sect. He could make contributions. Yes, prepare well. No need. I can go at any time. Hanju immediately waved his sleeve and sent him out. After Zhou Fan left, Hanju sent dreams to Qiu Shilai, the south extreme heavenly venerate, Sect Master Tianzhu, Fuxishan and Emperor Shao, telling them that Zhou Fan would represent the hidden sect in the chaotic city. The reason why he informed all the sages was that Hanju was afraid that some sages would cause trouble and scheme against Zhou Fan. Of course, even if they did, they couldn't defeat the 7 Dao sage. Chapter 547 Favorability of the Sages. Number 1 Mortal World. Chapter 547 Favorability of the Sages. Number 1 Mortal World. Zhou Fan's departure did not cause much of a commotion. The hidden sect disciples spent most of their time cultivating. Other than a few disciples, the others rarely walked around. Hanju continued cultivating and made progress towards the mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm. On the other side, in the 33rd heaven, at the edge of chaos, a lofty city stood in the darkness. Fog curled around it. Chaotic city. There was a tall tower in the city. At the top of the tower was a palace where all the sages gathered. Hanju sent a zenith heaven disciple here, Qiushilai said. The other sages nodded. The south extreme heavenly venerate clicked his tongue in wonder. The hidden sect casually sent out a zenith heaven. Li Daokong is already the strongest in the immortal world. At this rate, the hidden sect will dominate sooner or later. Sect Master Tianzhu said calmly, "Isn't it good for them to dominate alone? This way, we can put away our ambition and cultivate in peace. It's just nice that we will support the hidden sect in the next calamity. If the heavenly Tao is in danger in the future, Hanju can also directly attack." Fuxishan and Emperor Shao nodded. The heavenly devil calamity caused their cultivation levels to decrease greatly. They needed a long time to recover. Qiushilai smiled and said, "Perhaps this is a good thing. At least we can put down our grudges. We can take care of that hidden sect disciple, more as a form of goodwill." The matter of the heavenly devil also showed that Hanju is not the dark forbidden lord. With his strength, he could have waited for the Tao heavenly devil to kill us before attacking. The Tao heavenly devil was completely not his match. The other 4 sages still sighed. The Tao heavenly devil was not Hanju's match at all. Sect Master Tianzhu's eyes flickered. In that case, it can only be Li Muyi. The south extreme heavenly venerate snorted. Right? He didn't even ask the 2 of us when he used the 3 pure sacred ancestor. The 3 schools of the Tao sect are all bullshit. Besides, if the heavenly Tao is gone, the greatest beneficent will be his Kiliacosm world. The little heavenly Tao will become the only heavenly Tao. The sages were unhappy when Li Muyi was mentioned. Emperor Shao said, "Let's not talk about Li Muyi. Let's talk about the chaotic city. Ever since the heavenly devils were eradicated, many spatial cracks have appeared in the chaos. I'm worried that the inauspicious evil will take the opportunity to infiltrate." Sect Master Tianzhu shook his head. Sage Jinan has a mystical power that can spy on the inauspicious evil. However, he has already gone mad. Qiushilai frowned. He felt like an invisible hand was pushing all of this from behind. When they needed something, they discovered that they had long been plotted against by the mysterious enemy. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. It was all connected. Qiushilai had never been so helpless. He felt that the enemy had already set up traps for him to jump into. We have to increase the immortal world's strength. We can't just rely on ourselves. The south extreme heavenly venerate suddenly suggested. Qiushilai narrowed his eyes. Why don't we preach? The great Tao immeasurable calamity is coming. We can't stay passive anymore. Sure. All right. The sages agreed. In the Taoist temple, Hanju received 4 favorability notifications. The sages who were still well had become his good friends. This was in line with reality. The sages weren't stupid. How could they keep plotting when they couldn't win? Hanju didn't reject their hypocrisy. It just so happened that he could reduce some trouble and cultivate in peace. The sages' existence was still necessary. Although they fought openly and secretly, they could indeed maintain the order of the immortal world, and even protect it. Time passed silently. Year after year passed. 300 years later, while cultivating, Hanju began to observe Su Qi in the primordial world. Su Qi's body had already completely condensed, but he was still curled up in the fiend celestial chi, absorbing the surrounding chaotic chi and nebulous primordial chi. The chaotic chi was born from the chaotic origin stone. The nebulous primordial chi was born from Hanju's primordial fiend celestial physique. Apart from Su Chi, the other fiend celestial chi did not condense into a body for the time being. Su Chi was currently in a healthy development state. There should be no more problems. Hanju looked at the reroll world. He had wanted to turn the reroll world into the first world of the primordial world, but it was somewhat unbearable with the nebulous primordial chi's pressure. Hanju decided to let the reroll world out and become a huge world below the immortal world. After thinking, he took out the reroll world and let it float above his hand. He jumped out of the immortal world and arrived below it. With a sweep of his sage sense, he could already see more than 5,000 small worlds below the immortal world. Hanju put down the reroll world and obtained a portion of the heavenly Tao merit from the primordial world to fuse with the heavenly Tao providence. The reroll world began to rapidly expand. Hanju sent a voice transmission to the white-robed Buddha, asking him to be prepared. The white-robed Buddha asked nervously, "Then are we still considered part of the hidden sect in the future?" "Yes, the reroll world is the hidden sect's first world." "All right." The white-robed Buddha heaved a sigh of relief. He wanted to cling to Hanju. There was another reason why he released the reroll world. Hanju wanted to use it to fight for providence. At that time, the heavenly race would control the immortal world, and the reroll world would control the mortal world. The heavenly Tao's providence would all belong to Hanju, and the heavenly Tao could forget about plotting against him. After the reroll world completely fused with the heavenly Tao merit, and the providence placed on the heavenly Tao again, Hanju returned to the 100-peak immortal river. He sent a voice transmission to the 3 pure sacred ancestor, telling him to infiltrate the reroll world and protect it. In any case, this fellow had nothing to do. The 3 pure sacred ancestor immediately headed to the reroll world. After doing all of this, Hanju relaxed a lot. He began to look forward to the reroll world's future. It had to be said that the feeling of plotting was somewhat satisfying. Was this the reason why the sages were so tireless? He continued to cultivate. 800 years passed quickly. Hanju finally broke through. Mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm. His dermic powers began to increase. Hanju checked his attributes panel as he consolidated his cultivation. Name: Hanju. Lifespan: 43,914/390 sextillion 490 quintillion 9 quadrillion 999 trillion 999 billion 999 million 999,999. Race: primordial fiend celestial, immeasurable emperor. Cultivation: mid-stage primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm, perfect sage. Technique: primordial chaos reincarnation great Tao heavenly cycle body tempering. Great Tao of life and death, Great Tao of karma, Great Tao of extreme origin. His lifespan had increased by nearly 4 times. Not bad. Next, Hanju spent 70 years stabilizing his cultivation. His understanding of the Great Tao of extreme origin deepened. He even felt that he could use it to create a mystical power. Hanju first spent half a year raising all the Sword Tao mystical powers to the limit. Just as he was about to continue cultivating the grand unity aspect, a loud and solemn voice resounded through the world. We sages have decided to choose a new sage in 10,000 years. This sage needs to possess great merit and cultivation. Regardless of sect or race, all living beings can fight for it. Fuxishan's voice sounded. They were going to choose a new sage so quickly? Hanju wasn't interested. No matter who became a new sage, they couldn't defeat him. Wait, where did this primordial purple chi come from? Hanju checked his emails and indeed he saw an email. Your enemy, Sage Fated Secrets, was killed by the sages, who severed the providence of the heavenly Tao. Sage Fated Secrets' portrait had already disappeared. Chapter 548 Fiend Celestial Dharma Idols Father and Son Meet. Chapter 548 Fiend Celestial Dharma Idols. Father and son meet. Hanju sighed at Sage Fated Secrets' death. The former sage Fated Secrets was also considered one of the top existences among sages. Unfortunately, he had offended Hanju. If not for Sage Fated Secrets bewitching Su Qi, how would he have embarked on a path of no return? However, that was karma. Sage Fated Secrets had been cursed by him, but was killed by other sages. Hanju had a deeper understanding of the sages. These sages' attitudes changed extremely quickly. They could treat you well at one moment and harm you at the next. Hanju couldn't trust sages easily. He shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He began to cultivate the grand unity aspect. 48 years passed. Hanju had grasped a total of 50 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols, until he couldn't learn new ones. The Fiend Celestial Dharma idols he grasped were respectively the Lone Star Fiend Celestial, the Inner Direction Fiend Celestial, the Silver Hatred Fiend Celestial, the Great Tao Concealment Fiend Celestial, the Heartless Fiend Celestial, the Transmogrification Fiend Celestial, the Ultimate Een Fiend Celestial, the Love Fiend Celestial, the Viridescent Nether Fiend Celestial, the Black Sea Fiend Celestial, the Ultimate Fire Fiend Celestial, the Grand Desolate Fiend Celestial, the Past Injury Fiend Celestial, the Great Kiliacosm Fiend Celestial, the Subspace Fiend Celestial, the Heavenly Devil Fiend Celestial, the Restless Fiend Celestial, the Single Thought Fiend Celestial, the 18 Sun Moon Fiend Celestial, the Illusion Fiend Celestial, the Divine Fiend Celestial, the Spirit Chi Fiend Celestial, the Origin Sand Fiend Celestial, the False Reality Fiend Celestial, the Destiny Fiend Celestial, the Ultimate Origin Fiend Celestial, the Extreme Minute Fiend Celestial, the Earth Fiend Celestial, the Vitality Fiend Celestial, the Voltage Fiend Celestial, the Great Emperor Fiend Celestial, the Curse Fiend Celestial, the Imprisonment Fiend Celestial, the Primal Demon Fiend Celestial, the Tautai Fiend Celestial, the Magus Fiend Celestial, the Myriad Treasure Fiend Celestial, the Fake Truth Fiend Celestial, the Four Seasons Fiend Celestial, the Madness Fiend Celestial, the Evil Fiend Celestial, the Zither Music Fiend Celestial, the Undying Fiend Celestial, the Indestructible Fiend Celestial, the Guardian Fiend Celestial, the Wall Barrier Fiend Celestial, the Universe Fiend Celestial, the Giant Fiend Celestial, the Heavenly Charge Fiend Celestial, and the Omniscient Fiend Celestial. He had accumulated a total of 124 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols. Hanju had his own understanding. He felt that the source of everything might be the chaotic Fiend Celestial. Perhaps this was the inheritance. Even if the chaotic Fiend Celestials were already legends, they were everywhere in the world. Then, Hanju entered the simulation trial. He first attacked Tao Heavenly Devil. As his understanding of the great Tao of extreme origin deepened, he felt that he could fuse with the grand unity aspect. He didn't have to fight in groups. If he could gather the power of all the Fiend Celestial Dharma idols and kill the enemy in one go, that would be even better. Hanju first summoned 124 Fiend Celestial Dharma idols and destroyed the Tao Heavenly Devil with absolute violence. The Tao Heavenly Devil only lasted for 10 breaths of time. Hanju began to try to fuse the power of the 124 chaotic Fiend Celestials in battle. This process was very difficult because the power of the Great Tao was on par with each other. Just like that, Hanju was immersed in the simulation trial. After bullying the Tao Heavenly Devil for half a year, Hanju could already easily insta-kill him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. He began to challenge Dijuan. Then, he was blown up. Not convinced, he continued to challenge Dijuan. After hundreds of challenges, Hanju almost became depressed. He changed opponents again. Ancestor Shitian this time. He was completely depressed. These two were too impressive. Hanju began to set up the simulation trial. He set Qiu Shilai, Li Mui, the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Sage Jinan, Fuxishan, Emperor Shao, and Sage Fated Secrets as his opponents. 1 against 8. Too close. They were easily suppressed. The 8 sages had tacit understanding when they joined forces, but Hanju had even more Fiend Celestial Dharma idols. They were all destroyed in less than 10 breaths of time. Hanju's fiend celestial Dharma idols could already sever the heavenly Tao's providence. Apart from the increase in the number of fiend celestial Dharma idols, it was also related to his cultivation. Although he had only broken through a minor realm, there was a huge difference. Above the sage realm, every minor realm was enough to determine the strength. After nearly 100 simulation trials, Hanju finally found a way to insta-kill the 8 sages. Awesome! This time, Hanju could finally look down on sages. In the future, if any sage dared to speak to him coldly, they would be asking for a beating. In a good mood, Hanju decided to go out and relax. Currently, under the heavenly Tao, he was already invincible. He could relax a little. Hanju decided to visit his son. There was a vast amount of heavenly Tao merit hidden in the primordial world. He could resist the heavenly Tao's rejection, as long as he wrapped it around his body. Of course, if he used the power of a sage, the heavenly Tao would still forcefully expel him. The other heavenly Tao sages couldn't do this, because they relied on the heavenly Tao's providence. If they entered the immortal world without permission, the heavenly Tao inside and outside would reject them. It would be even more uncomfortable. South Dun region, human race, Moonheart City. Han Tua was watching the battle below at the battle arena. Moonheart City occupied an area of thousands of kilometers and was considered one of the largest cities in the human race in this region. The cultivation culture was dense, and there was more than one such battle arena. The 2 cultivators fighting on the platform were Grand Unity Earth Immortals. Even with the restriction isolating their dermic powers, the nearby people and cultivators were still shocked. Do you find it interesting to watch them fight with your cultivation level? A voice suddenly came from the side. Han Tua turned around and saw an extremely ugly monk smiling at him. It was Hanju. He came to see his son and Sun Chang'an's past ugly appearance. Han Tua frowned. Who are you? He had just become an immortal emperor not long ago. No one in the entire Moonheart City could match him, but he couldn't see through this ugly monk in front of him. Han Ming had once told him that he had to be careful of Buddhist cultivators. Hanju smiled. I see that your providence is extraordinary, so I want to get to know you. I'm Crouching Dragon. People call me Young Phoenix. You can also call me Young Phoenix Crouching Dragon. What about you, young friend? Young Phoenix. Han Tua frowned. He had never heard of this name. However, since the other party had no ill intentions, he couldn't slap a smiling face. I'm Han Tua. Young friend, you don't have a sect at your cultivation level? There are no sects or schools. The immortal world is just a speck of dust. Oh, do you want me to introduce you to a major faction? How big is it? How big do you want it to be? Have you heard of Li Daokong? Hanju blinked and said, I did. You want to join the human school? Han Tua shook his head. I want to join the hidden sect and become the disciple of that immeasurable merit divine, might heavenly sage. No, I can even take him as my grandmaster. Unfortunately, my cultivation level is too weak. It's said that the hidden sect has countless immortal emperors. A woman beside him looked at Hanju and his son in surprise. Such bragging. He called himself an immortal emperor. He even mentioned the immeasurable merit divine might heavenly sage. The woman's eyes revealed disdain. Hanju said, the hidden sect is too difficult. I can't do it. How about the heavenly race? Han Tua was surprised. This ugly monk really had a way? He shook his head. The heavenly race belongs to the immortal gods. I don't want to enter. Hanju was interested. This kid hated immortals? Just as he was about to ask, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Detected bearer of Khanate Providence, check its origin. Hanju was stunned. It had been a long time since such a notification appeared. Ever since he had attained the Tao, even if it was the reincarnation of a sage, it might not be able to catch the system's attention. He immediately chose to check. Jieyu, early stage Grand Unity Golden Immortal Realm, one of the clones of Transcendent Tao expert Jade Bodhi. Chapter 549 Ancient Desolate Buddha Lord, Demon Race vs. Heavenly Race. Chapter 549 Ancient Desolate Buddha Lord, Demon Race vs. Heavenly Race Jade Bodhi's clone? Hanju's eyelids twitched. This was a clone, not a Dharma idol, let alone a reincarnation. In other words, Jade Bodhi's main body was using Jiayu's perspective to stare at him? Han Ju pulled out his interpersonal relationships and found the Jade Bodhi. Jade Bodhi, cultivation unknown. Transcendent Tao expert. The first Bodhi that cultivated to success under the heavenly Tao. Primordial ancestor of the Buddhist sect. He has always lived in the dark forbidden zone. Because you were praised by ancestor Shitian, he has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability 1 star. After hearing the Tao in the Great Ultimate Hall, ancestor Shitian, Dijuan, 7 Tao Sage, and Jade Bodhi had a favorable impression of him. He thought that the 4 of them were playing mahjong. As a transcendent Tao expert, Jade Bodhi was definitely not inferior to a great Tao sage. Han Ju used the simulation trial to detect Jiayu's existence, but he didn't look over. Jiayu was a young man with a graceful appearance. He wore black hair and white clothes, and was not considered outstanding in the crowd. Pretending not to see him, Han Ju asked Han Tua with a smile, "Do you hate immortals?" Han Tua replied, "It's not hatred. I just feel that there's no need for us humans to believe in immortals. When humans were in danger, the immortals and gods did not help. When humans were powerful, the immortals wanted their faith. I don't like immortals or gods." Han Ju sighed secretly. This kid was still not like him. It was not a good thing to speak without thinking. If he was too stubborn, he would easily cause trouble. Although Han Tua had never relied on Han Ju all these years, he had more or less borrowed some of his influence. This was normal. How could one rely solely on themselves in life? 110. Why don't we find a place to chat? Han Ju asked with a smile. Han Tua hesitated for a moment but still nodded. The other party had a mysterious background and had no ill intentions. It wasn't a bad thing to befriend him. The father and son left. Han Ju was cautious and discovered that Jiayu didn't follow. The father and son came to an inn and began to talk freely. Their relationship became closer and closer. Coincidentally, 2 hours later, Jiayu also arrived at the inn, at the table beside them. Han Ju pretended to ignore him. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. The father and son continued chatting. Han Tua suddenly asked curiously, "Crouching Dragon, what's your cultivation level?" Han Tua had become an immortal emperor after cultivating for 9,000 years. He was also considered knowledgeable. This stinky monk in front of him was unfathomable. He was definitely not only a realm higher than him. Han Ju smiled and said, "My cultivation level is not important. We only met once. If you have no choice in the future, you can visit the heavenly court or the heavenly race. They will accept you." With that, he stood up and prepared to leave. Han Tua hurriedly stood up and asked, "You're an immortal god?" Han Ju disappeared after saying, "I'm neither an immortal nor a god. I'm just a spectator outside the mortal world." Spectator? Han Tua was impressed. At this moment, Jiayu suddenly stood up and walked over with a smile. "Brother, can I join you?" Han Tua looked at him and frowned. Why did another come after just one left? Han Ju returned to the Taoist temple and immediately asked silently, "Why did Jade Bodhi send Jiayu to approach my son? 160 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." Han Ju entered the illusion. He came to a vast and bright palace. The hall was surrounded by clouds and golden light shone. He looked up and saw countless Buddhas. Some were lying on lotus thrones. Some were leaning against ferocious beasts. Some were reciting the scriptures with their eyes closed. And some were crying. All of them had their own expressions and postures. Han Ju's gaze landed on the Jade Bodhi. Jade Bodhi was the only Taoist here. He sat on the 72nd grade white lotus throne with a transcendent attitude. Han Ju showed a frown. What was this place? Buddhist sect? A Buddhist sect higher ranked than the immortal world? Beside the Jade Bodhi was a majestic figure. His entire body emitted strong light, and one could only see his outline. It was a huge Buddha with a slightly thin figure. The thin giant Buddha said, "Recently, the heavenly Tao's providence has weakened, and the heavenly devils caused chaos. Although the danger has been resolved, signs of the great Tao immeasurable calamity already appeared. What do you think? The Buddhas began to reply. Why care about the heavenly Tao? It's all superficial. There's already more than one heavenly Tao. We don't have to keep it in mind. The heavenly Tao is the beginning of everything. It's the foundation of the great Tao. We have to investigate it clearly. Does the so-called primordial fiend celestial really exist? Several chaotic fiend celestials have recently appeared in the ancient desolate. The era of the great battle is about to arrive. It's not a good thing for us to pay attention to the heavenly Tao now. The Buddhas had their own opinions. Although they spoke one after another, there was no commotion. Instead, it made people inexplicably calm, as if they were preaching. Jade Bodhi slowly said, "Leave this to me. You don't have to care." The Buddhas quietened down. The illusion shattered. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. The ancient desolate was in the deity realm of the ruins of End, which meant that the batch of Buddhas had come from there. So, Jieyu's arrival was to investigate the great Tao immeasurable calamity. Fortunately, I suppressed Han Tuo's bloodline and didn't completely release it. Hanju thought silently. He began to observe Han Tuo and Jieyu. The two of them sat at the table and started chatting in the future. The two of them became closer and closer. They even agreed to barge into the immortal world together. Hanju didn't dare to act rashly and could only watch quietly. 3 years later, Jieyu and Han Tuo parted. The two of them were already close friends. However, Jieyu still had something to do and bid Han Tuo farewell. Hanju asked in his mind, "Does Jieyu think that Han Tuo is a primordial fiend celestial? 10 million years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue. Not for the time being." Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine as long as he did not suspect Han Tuo. As for Hanju, he wasn't afraid of hiding in the Tao field. Hanju adjusted his state of mind and continued cultivating. In any case, it was still a long time away from the great Tao immeasurable calamity. Ever since the sages announced that they were going to choose a new sage, the entire immortal world fell into a fanatical atmosphere. For the sake of great merit, almost all the mighty figures came out to set up schools, preach the Tao, establish order, create mystical powers, and so on. The immortal world was blooming everywhere, greatly advancing the progress of the heavenly Tao. The 100-peak immortal river was still calm. They didn't care about the sage position. In any case, they couldn't go out. 100 years passed quickly. On this day, a deafening sound came from the sky. Hanju opened his eyes and saw a huge 3-legged golden crow leading countless demon soldiers and demon generals to the 13th heaven. The demon race was fighting the heavenly race. Hanju raised his eyebrows. Was this 3-legged golden crow stupid? It was directly challenging the heavenly Tao race. Hanju pinched his fingers to deduce, and his expression became strange. Ji Xianxian and his subordinates were not in the heavenly race. The immortals guarding the 13th heaven were from other providence sections. Could it be that Ji Xianxian was colluding with the demons to kill them with a borrowed knife? Interesting. Hanju discovered that this group of demons had already reached a scale. There were more than 10 million demon soldiers. Although most of their cultivation was weak, at least their momentum was impressive. The battle lasted for decades. In the end, both the demons and the heavenly race were injured. Instantly, the demons' reputation soared. In the eyes of all living beings, the heavenly race was the strongest force. Hanju saw that the water released by the heavenly race was about to turn into a sea. After the battle began, all existences above the deity realm retreated. Chapter 550 Tao Companion, Nether Zenith's Appearance. Chapter 550 Tao Companion, Nether Zenith's Appearance. The war between the demons and the heavenly race had ended, causing the demons' reputation to increase. Thus, all living beings knew that the heavenly race was not invincible. The cycle of reincarnation began, and the demons were about to rise again. After the devil race, it was indeed the Magus race. Before the heavenly Tao restarted, the demons were also ranked behind the devil race. It wasn't such a coincidence. It was definitely fate. Although there was war, the development of the immortal world was indeed becoming better and better. The cultivation trend spread throughout the myriad worlds. Other than the ancient race, the demon race, and the heavenly race, many other races rose, looking like hundreds of flowers blooming. Not only that, but Hanju also observed that the immortal world was actually becoming larger. The boundary was constantly expanding towards the dark forbidden zone. The land quickly expanded. It was extremely magical. Hanju looked carefully and discovered that a sage's aura was everywhere in the immortal world. So it was done by a sage. It wasn't difficult for him to recall the reason. The heavenly devil calamity had almost destroyed all living beings in the immortal world, making the sages realize how weak all living beings were. Hanju watched for a while before continuing to cultivate. Jade Bodhi and Seven Dao Sage brought him pressure. He could relax occasionally, but the main focus of his life had to be cultivation. Even if his talent was unparalleled, it would take a long time for him to be on par with the great Dao. For example, how many calamities had Dijuan passed? Unimaginable. Immeasurable. Hanju's current target was the Freedom Sage realm. Although he was only at the mid-stage, he had to have ambitions. 230 years later, Hanju, who was cultivating, was interrupted by Li Yao, who came to visit him. Hanju let her in. Li Yao came in front of him and bowed. Sect Master, after stepping into the Zenith Heaven realm, my cultivation level has increased very slowly. I keep feeling that something is missing. Hanju said, You lack actual experience? Li Yao's personality was the same as his. After coming to the hidden sect, she did not go out again. What was different from him was that Li Yao did not have a system. Zenith Heaven was already the limit of living beings. Without opportunities, it was very difficult to improve. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. As for pseudo-sages, which one of them was not a peerless genius, an unparalleled expert who stunned an era? Li Yao frowned. I don't want to go out. How can the greatest opportunity in the world compare to following you? Hanju asked. Then, what do you think is missing? Li Yao took a deep breath and said, I've experienced training before I joined the hidden sect. I've experienced countless slaughters along the way in the immortal world. In my life, I might be lacking a companion. Companion? Hanju showed a frown. He understood the implied meaning. Hanju sized her up. It had to be said that in terms of looks, Li Yao was among the top among the women he had seen. Her temperament also made him admire her. Li Yao had never had a clear identity in the hidden sect. She wasn't Hanju's disciple, but her status was equivalent to a second-generation disciple. Hanju fell silent. Li Yao mustered her courage and stared at him. She had been suppressing these words for a long time. Ever since Hanju saved her and guided her to the hidden sect, feelings had long been buried. After a long while, Li Yao stood up and walked towards him. Under the fusang tree, the black hell chicken looked at Hanju's Taoist temple and muttered, Why do I feel that woman wants to eat chicken? Tu Linger opened her eyes in anger. Crap. Too late. However, she didn't have the guts. After all, she was already Hanju's disciple. The status of master and disciple was like a huge mountain that made her not dare to cross the line. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Chicken? She wants to eat you? The black hell chicken rolled its eyes at her and said, You don't understand, silly grass. All you know is to cultivate. You should have been close, but unfortunately you're too stupid. Its tone was disappointed. Dao Comprehension Sword stood up and drew her sword. The chaotic heavenly dog came to mediate, but it only added fuel to the fire. For a time the fusang tree was in chaos. It had been a long time since it was so lively. 7 years later, in the Taoist temple, Li Yao sat beside Hanju. Her clothes were clean, but her face was slightly red. Hanju said softly, Not bad. If your dermic powers fuse, you should be able to make a breakthrough. Li Yao nodded. Thank you, Sect Master. Your dermic powers have guided me greatly. It's better than 10,000 years of bitter cultivation. Hanju shook his head. It's not that exaggerated. The two of them fell silent again. Li Yao stood up and bowed before leaving. Hanju suddenly stopped her and said, From now on you're my Dao companion. You're the same as Xing Hongxian and Xian Qingjun. Remember, Xing Hongxian is the first. Don't cause trouble internally. Li Yao's brows lifted, and she immediately agreed happily. Several days later, Xing Hongxian came to visit. She didn't say anything and only pestered him for a year before leaving. Han Ju couldn't help but look at the other women. Xian Qingjun, Fairy Xixian, and Chang Yue were still cultivating. The three women usually kept a low profile. It was mainly because their potential was poor, and they could only spend time. Perhaps because of the difference in cultivation, they were a little restrained when facing Han Ju. He couldn't force them to do anything, and let nature take its course. Han Ju didn't have much desire for women. He was already a sage, and didn't have to lower himself. Of course, the other disciples were all very smart. They didn't dare to act recklessly in front of the three women. Actually, it's not ridiculous to fuse yin and yang occasionally. Han Ju thought silently, and continued cultivating in the next 100 years. Li Yao broke through to the mid-stage Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal Realm, and entered the top 3 again in the 100-year competition. This performance shocked the other disciples. They didn't know what Han Ju had taught her. However, the threshold to become Han Ju's Dao companion was too high. Just the gender was enough to make the other disciples give up. In the blink of an eye, 600 years passed. More and more immortal emperors appeared in the 100-peak immortal river. All members of the Nether race had stepped into the deity realm, and were still far from the Zenith Heaven realm. However, 10,000 deity realm cultivators were enough to overturn all the forces in the world. On this day, Li Daokong returned, and Han Ju moved him into the Taoist temple. All these years, Li Daokong had sparred with Shi Dudao from time to time. There were no longer any emails about him being severely injured. Sect Master, I encountered the heavenly race's patriarch, Ji Xianshan. He's in danger, and hopes that the hidden sect can help. He's not the only one. Fang Liang is also trapped, Li Daokong said. Han Ju asked, trapped by who? Great Loose Heaven. This person created the first mortal world, and has more than 1,000 grand unity golden immortals under him. He's also at the late-stage pseudo-sage realm, and has powerful mystical powers, Li Daokong replied. Hesitating for a moment, he added, the Chan school is behind him. The sages have expressed their goodwill to you. I don't know if Ji Xianshan and Fang Liang are disciples of the hidden sect now, so I didn't attack. Han Ju wasn't dissatisfied. Instead, he was very satisfied. Li Daokong wasn't as rash as he had expected. He had thought it through. Han Ju said, go find Han Yu and lead 1,000 Nether Zenith cultivators to save Ji Xianshan and Fang Liang. Send them safely to the heavens. It was time to fight for the heavenly Tao's providence. In the immortal world, Han Ju didn't have to do it personally. Li Daokong was secretly shocked. Such a huge move. He asked cautiously, that sage? Don't mind him. Understood. Li Daokong immediately made arrangements. An hour later, Han Ju moved Li Daokong and 1,000 Nether Zeniths out of the Dao field. He then closed his eyes and resumed cultivating. He wasn't worried that the sages of the Chan school would have any objections. Strength was the only thing that mattered. Chapter 551 Evil Heavenly Emperor, Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Chapter 551 Evil Heavenly Emperor, Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Han Ju was interested in controlling the Heavenly Tao, but he couldn't control it personally. He didn't want to be tied to the Heavenly Tao. He needed to support a sage to monopolize the Heavenly's Providence Tao and control it for him. Having another idea, Han Ju asked, can I use the primordial heavenly prison to enslave a Heavenly Tao sage and control the Heavenly Tao? 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. You can enslave a Heavenly Tao sage, but you can't control the Heavenly Tao because of this. The Heavenly Tao will automatically sever the sage's providence. Han Ju wasn't surprised. The Heavenly Tao was a rule, after all. No matter how strong the system was, could it be stronger than the Great Tao? Even the Great Tao couldn't directly devour the Heavenly Tao. Moreover, enslaving a Heavenly Tao sage would definitely offend an even higher existence. From what Han Ju knew so far, the Heavenly Tao had already had more than 10 immeasurable calamities. During these immeasurable calamities, many mighty figures had risen. The sages had also been changed. Those transcendent Tao experts had left the Heavenly Tao, and moved to the deity realm of the ruins of End. If Jade Bodhi could sense the heavenly Tao situation, so could the other transcendent Tao experts. To put it bluntly, these sages were puppets planted by the great Tao sages in the heavenly Tao. Hanju wanted to control the heavenly Tao in the dark. This was foolproof. Outside the 33rd heaven, Sage Tao field, Qiu Shilai sat on the golden lotus. His expression changed as wisps of strange and ancient gray qi wrapped around his body. He suddenly opened his eyes and shouted angrily. The surrounding gray aura vanished. A black shadow appeared in front of him. Qiu Shilai stared at him and said in a low voice, "What do you want?" The black shadow said, "The heavenly Tao is weak. This is your opportunity. I want to ask you, what do you want?" Qiu Shilai was silent. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The black shadow continued. Li Mui's Kiliacosm world is about to be devoured by the Dark Sage King. His next target is the Heavenly Tao. If you unite the Heavenly Tao, you can better welcome the Dark Sage King's attack. Who is the Dark Sage King? The karma evil spirit born in the Dark Forbidden Zone. He wants to devour the big and small Heavenly Tao and transcend the Great Tao to resist the ancient order. Why aren't you attacking? How can we attack with the Realm Lord around? The Heavenly Tao and the Great Tao cannot interfere with each other. This is an iron rule that cannot be violated. Qiu Shilai fell silent. The black shadow vanished into thin air after saying, "You have to unite the Heavenly Tao before the next calamity. Otherwise, your sage position will go to someone else." Qiu Shilai's eyes flickered with dissatisfaction. 50 years later, Hanju opened his eyes and checked his emails. Your good friend Li Daokong was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure. Your good friend Han Yu was attacked by a cultivator from the loose heaven realm, X842. Your disciple Ji Xianxian was attacked by a mysterious mighty figure and was severely injured. Your grand disciple Fang Liang encountered an inauspicious evil that entered his soul. Your good friend Huang Zuantian has entered the Sage Tao field. Your good friend, the Heavenly Emperor, has transformed into the evil Heavenly Emperor because he devoured the inauspicious evil. Your good friend Jiang Dugu has entered the deity realm of the ruins of End. Your good friend Empress Hutu received a dream from a mysterious mighty figure. Her cultivation has increased greatly. Hanju frowned. The Heavenly Emperor had transformed into the evil Heavenly Emperor? Before leaving the immortal world, the Heavenly Emperor had been plotted against by Jade Emperor Zhou Yan. The inferior strange deity had possessed his body. At that time, Hanju had not completely purified it and was helpless. Hanju pulled out his interpersonal relationships and checked the Heavenly Emperor's portrait. The Heavenly Emperor's name had already become the evil Heavenly Emperor. His face looked very sinister. He had white hair and sharp eyebrows. His eyes had turned into dual pupils, and there was a vertical pattern between his eyebrows that looked like a closed eye. Most importantly, the evil Heavenly Emperor's cultivation had already reached the late-stage pseudo-sage. This cultivation speed was so fast. Hanju hesitated for a moment and decided to visit the Heavenly Emperor in his dreams. The Heavenly Emperor couldn't resist the dark nightmare at all. The dream was a small forest near the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, more than 40,000 years ago. It was also a place of remembrance for Hanju and the Heavenly Emperor. He saw that things had changed as he saw the Heavenly Emperor again. The Heavenly Emperor wore a dragon-patterned black robe and a dragon horn with a jade purple golden crown. 3 fan-shaped sword shadows floated behind him. Seeing Hanju, the Heavenly Emperor was stunned. The two of them stared at each other silently. Several breaths later, the Heavenly Emperor sighed. "You're stronger than I expected. You've already attained the Tao." Hanju said, "I'm not a Heavenly Tao sage yet. How have you been, Your Majesty?" The Heavenly Emperor smiled. "Not bad. I've never felt so free. Hanju, if you can't stay in the immortal world, you can come to the deity realm of the ruins of End to seek refuge with me. I've established a new heavenly court." How is the deity realm of the ruins of End compared to the immortal world? It's even more dangerous and desolate, but it's also filled with opportunities. Hanju was stunned. Desolate? He had always thought that the deity realm of the ruins of Ind was more prosperous than the immortal world, and was equivalent to a high-level immortal world. But from the Heavenly Emperor's words, that was not the case. The Heavenly Emperor sighed. The deity realm of the ruins of Ind was born before the immortal world. It was the number one world of the heavenly Tao. It was once shattered by the battle of the sages. In order to prevent such a situation from happening again, the Tao ancestor pieced together the fragments of the deity realm of the ruins of Ind into the immortal world. The deity realm of the ruins of Ind itself is filled with karma, grudges, and negative karma. It has long been abandoned. Now, it is regarded as the path to the ancient desolate. There are too many mighty figures fighting and dying on this path. The opportunities left behind are immeasurable. Hanju couldn't help but think of the sage war in the investiture of the gods. Could it be that the birth of the immortal world was related to this? He asked, "Where's the ancient desolate?" The Heavenly Emperor shook his head. Ancient desolate, that is a mysterious place. Even if someone comes out alive, they won't tell the truth. I'm not sure either. Hanju was deep in thought. The Heavenly Emperor stared at him with a burning gaze. Hanju, come. Join me, and I will confer you the title of Heavenly Emperor. In the Heavenly Court, you will be second only to one person, and above 10,000. We will join forces and conquer the dark forbidden zone. We will sweep through the great worlds, and create an unprecedented great undertaking. Hanju remained silent. For some reason, he felt that the Heavenly Emperor had changed. Apart from ambition, he also became more invasive. What about the immortal world? What plan do you have for the immortal world now? Hanju asked. The Heavenly Emperor said proudly, I'll return sooner or later. All the sages will pay the price. I'll sweep through the immortal world. Anyone who doesn't obey will be destroyed. He stared at Hanju again and said, Hanju, join forces with me and clean up everything. Follow Panga's example in the ancient legends. We can create everything again. Hanju said, I'll consider it. The two of them continued to chat for a while. After the dream ended, Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. The Heavenly Emperor had really turned dark. Apart from strength, he was a standard villain now. Of course, from the Heavenly Emperor's point of view, his change was understandable. The Heavenly Emperor can even make a name for himself in the deity realm of the ruins of End. Perhaps it's not as terrifying as I imagine, but there must be someone stronger than me. Hanju thought silently, and continued cultivating 500 years later. The Heavenly Tao changed. I am Heavenly Venerate Wufa, the new sage of the Heavenly Tao. I control the order of slaughter in the Heavenly Tao, and created the Wufa sect. A domineering voice resounded throughout the Heavenly Tao. Chapter 552 Wufa Sect. Hanju battles Heavenly Venerate. Chapter 552 Wufa Sect. Hanju battles Heavenly Venerate New Sage? Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Hanju immediately checked his emails. As expected, he saw an email. The providence of your enemy, Sage Jinan, was severed by the sages and he died. Sage Jinan's portrait had already disappeared. How ruthless. Hanju thought silently. I want to know information about Heavenly Venerate Wufa. 4 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Perfected Heavenly Tao Sage, Immeasurable Emperor, disciple of the Tao Ancestor, perfected Heavenly Tao Sage. This was quite something. Heavenly Venerate Wufa has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars. Hanju showed a frown. Hatred towards him the moment he arrived? He had ill intentions. Hanju hesitated to curse Heavenly Venerate Wufa. On the other side, a vast palace appeared outside the 33rd heaven. It was extremely majestic, and the 7-colored light rose to 1,000,000 feet tall. From afar, the palace looked like an ancient dragon. Qiu Shilai Fuxishan, South Extreme Heavenly Venerate, Sect Master Tianju, Emperor Shao, and Empress Hutu appeared. They looked at the new palace with complicated expressions. A plaque stood above the palace gate. Words were carved on it. Wufa Palace. From today onwards, I will lead you to strengthen the Heavenly Tao. There will be no Heavenly Devil tribulation. What you have to do is listen to my arrangements. Heavenly Venerate Wufa's voice floated out, his tone irrefutable. The sage's expressions turned ugly. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Too arrogant. This was the first time he had come here. The Wufa palace didn't even open the door. It was rude. The sages could only retreat and come to Qiu Shilai's Dao field. Heavenly Venerate Wufa is a disciple of the Dao ancestor. His cultivation is unfathomable. We're probably not his match. Furthermore, he has the backing of a great Dao sage. South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said with an ugly expression. Emperor Xiao frowned. Don't the three schools of the Dao sect also have great Dao sages? Sect Master Tianju sighed. To be honest, we've already lost contact. Otherwise, we wouldn't have relied on ancestor Shitian. Emperor Xiao and Empress Huta frowned even more. Qiu Shilai took a deep breath and said, an external force has begun to infiltrate the heavenly Dao. We have to join forces. Not long ago, a great Dao sage also threatened me. As for who it is, I can't say for the time being, lest I attract trouble. The sage's expressions changed. Emperor Xiao said, there's a need to tell Hanju about this. It's already impossible to rely on us. We have to rely on his strength. The other sages nodded in agreement. After experiencing the heavenly devil calamity, they all acknowledged Hanju. No matter how the heavenly Dao fought, they had to be united against the outside world. 40 years later, Emperor Xiao came to visit him. Hanju moved him into the Taoist temple. Not only did he give Emperor Xiao face, but he also didn't give Emperor Xiao a chance to observe the 100-peak immortal river. Emperor Xiao directly stated his intention. He explained the matter of Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Hanju said, I understand. I'll consider this matter. Before that, the sages can wait and see. Even if the heavenly Dao changes owners, it won't change in a short period of time. We have to understand our opponents first before making plans. As for me, I'm definitely more inclined towards you. He must be joking. Heavenly Venerate Wufa had developed hatred towards him as soon as he arrived. He was already an enemy. Hanju would definitely think of a way to kill him, but he couldn't do it openly. Emperor Xiao smiled. That's enough. I'll tell the other sages. The two of them exchanged a few more pleasantries before Hanju sent him out. After Emperor Xiao left, Hanju began to think about how to deal with Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Knowing one's enemy was the key to victory. I want to know if Heavenly Venerate Wufa can kill me? Hanju asked in his mind. 10 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. There's a certain possibility. It was possible. Hanju stood up and activated all the supreme treasures in his body. He directly jumped to the 33rd heaven, and quickly sensed the Heavenly Venerate Wufa's palace. He jumped in front of the palace, and immediately copied the cultivation of Heavenly Venerate Wufa before jumping away. Almost instantly, Hanju felt a terrifying killing intent lock onto him. Where are you escaping to? Heavenly Venerate Wufa's voice sounded. Time seemed to have stopped. Hanju felt a terrifying palm strike land on his body, but it was cancelled out by his supreme treasure. Hanju jumped back into the 100-peak immortal river. Heavenly Venerate Wufa revealed himself and frowned. He wore a black Taoist robe and had a burly figure. His hair was very short, and his face was imprinted with golden Dao patterns that were difficult to understand. He emitted an ancient aura. He looked at his right palm and muttered, "What a powerful Dharma treasure! How can he have it? Could it be that he has other backgrounds?" On the other side, in the Taoist temple, Hanju sat on the 36th grade reincarnation world destruction Black Lotus. Heavenly Venerate Wufa's hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points 4. 5 stars. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't feel anything after being slapped by Heavenly Venerate Wufa. The strongest treasure in his body could withstand a blow from a freedom sage. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was only a heavenly Dao sage. How could he hurt him? Hanju began the simulation trial and challenged Heavenly Venerate Wufa. An hour later, Hanju opened his eyes. He frowned slightly. In the first battle, he mainly probed Heavenly Venerable Wufa's ability. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was actually stronger than Li Muyi. Although he was also a heavenly Tao sage, the mystical power he grasped already had the concept of a great Tao mystical power. Han Ju won, but not happily. He continued to challenge. 10 minutes later, Han Ju successfully killed Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Not enough. Once the battle dragged on, the enemy would easily escape. Han Ju started the simulation trial again and again. After more than 100 times, the battle time decreased to a minute. 1,000 times later, Han Ju finally found a way to insta-kill Heavenly Venerate Wufa. He couldn't help but sigh. He opened his eyes and smiled confidently. That's it. Han Ju began to look down on Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Of course, he could only look down on him behind his back. If they really fought, he would definitely show weakness first, and seize the opportunity when Heavenly Venerate Wufa relaxed. How could a battle of life and death be so fair? Han Ju only believed in dead enemies. He looked up at the 13th heaven. Li Daokong and 1,000 nether zeniths were temporarily staying in the heavenly race. All these years, Han Ju would look up while cultivating. Ji Xianxian had used the power of the hidden sect to begin purging the heavenly race. Many immortals were expelled. I am Heavenly Venerate Wufa. I cannot preach the Tao in the 33rd heaven. All living beings in the heavenly Tao only need to call me by my name. They can come to the Wufa Palace to listen to the Tao and become disciples of the Wufa sect. Heavenly Venerate Wufa's voice suddenly sounded. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. This fellow was something in the past. When sages preached the Tao, they needed the listeners to head to the 33rd heaven themselves. This process was enough to screen out living beings with insufficient cultivation levels. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was different. As long as they uttered his sage name, they would be moved into the Wufa Palace. Unknowingly, he would obtain the favor of all living beings. In just a few breaths of time, Han Ju saw thousands of living beings being moved to the 33rd heaven. After a period of time, the disciples of the Wufa sect reached an extremely terrifying level. Not believing it, Han Ju thought to himself, "You have the guts to move all the living beings in the immortal world to your Tao field." Chapter 553 It's indeed him, Heavenly Sect Master. Chapter 553 It's indeed him, Heavenly Sect Master outside the 33rd heaven. In front of the palace, living beings appeared one after another. Most of them had pleasantly surprised expressions before stepping into the door that shone with strong light. It was endless. An endless stream. The space inside the Wufa Palace seemed to be limitless and could contain all living beings in the immortal world. Han Tua suddenly appeared in front of the Wufa Palace. He looked up, his eyes filled with excitement, anticipation, and a trace of nervousness. "Brother Han Tua, you're here too." A familiar voice sounded. Han Tua turned around and said in surprise, "Brother Jieyu, you're here too." Jieyu squeezed through the crowd and walked in front of Han Tua. The two of them were very happy to see each other again. After chatting for a while, they stepped into the Wufa Palace. Such a scene repeated in front of the Wufa Palace. Because they had come to listen to the Tao, many cultivators had reunited. Of course, enemies also saw each other and were extremely jealous. However, they didn't dare to act rashly in front of the sage Tao field. On the other side, the sages gathered in Xiu Shilai's Tao field. This fellow is too impudent. What does he want? He directly took in all the living beings of the heavenly Tao as his disciples. Does he want to control the heavenly Tao alone? The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said angrily, trembling in anger. Sect Master Tianju's eyes flickered with a cold light. It's indeed too much. He doesn't care about us at all. Xiu Shilai was also furious. How long had it been since Heavenly Venerate Wufa came? Emperor Xiao was also furious. He began to think of a countermeasure. At this moment, everyone, why is there another sage in the heavenly Tao? A voice sounded and Li Mui appeared in the hall. Seeing him appear, the sage's expressions instantly darkened. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Li Mui looked a little tired. Noticing that the atmosphere was not right, he asked, "Could it be that you didn't support him?" The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate said in a strange tone. "Hey, isn't this the sage of the human school?" Your Kiliacosm world's calamity has been resolved? Li Mui frowned. No, I'm prepared to abandon the Kiliacosm world. Tell me about that new sage first. Why are there so many living beings heading to his Dao field? The sages looked at each other. In the end, Sect Master Tianju told him the reason. Li Mui was furious when he heard that. Ridiculous. I'll personally find Heavenly Venerate Wufa. The sages did not stop him and watched him leave. In the Taoist temple of the 100-peak Immortal River, Han Ju, who was cultivating, sensed something and suddenly looked up. His gaze pierced through the 33rd heaven. He saw that Li Mui and Heavenly Venerate Wufa were fighting. Their mystical powers and dermic powers were boundless. It shook the chaotic chi of the 33 heavens until it surged violently. The living beings in front of the palace no longer increased. From the looks of the battle, Li Mui was being suppressed by Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Interesting, Han Ju thought for a moment, and took out the Book of Misfortune. He started to curse Heavenly Venerate Wufa. At the very least, he had to make him unable to cultivate in peace. It was very difficult to determine a winner in a battle between sages, unless one grasped the power of the great Tao like Han Ju. 5 days later, Han Ju started to curse with his lifespan. He tried his best, his lifespan decreasing rapidly. In the midst of the fighting, Heavenly Venerate Wufa's expression changed drastically. He waved his sleeve, and countless blue ice crystals shot in all directions. They tore through space along the way, preventing Li Mui from approaching. Curse power. What mystical power are you using? Heavenly Venerate Wufa asked in a low voice. The previous curse did not hurt, but the power of the curse had suddenly strengthened. He guessed that Li Mui had used some mystical power. Li Mui ignored his question and continued fighting. He was also furious. He didn't want to lose face in front of the other Heavenly Tao sages. At the same time, the expressions of the other sages who were watching the battle became subtle. They communicated with their divine sense. Indeed, it's him. We didn't curse Heavenly Venerate Wufa. That can only be Li Mui. Could it be Han Ju? There's no need for Han Ju to do that. Furthermore, the person questioned by Heavenly Venerate Wufa is Li Mui. This means that he sensed that Li Mui is using a mystical power that we can't see. How despicable. He even pretended to save me just now. If Li Mui had the system, he would definitely receive several hatred points. The battle continued. The 33rd heaven began to collapse. Dense spatial cracks could be seen everywhere. Chaotic lightning interwoven the spatial cracks. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was the strongest Heavenly Tao sage now. Li Mui had long left the Heavenly Tao. The battle between the two caused the order of the Heavenly Tao to collapse. Boom! Terrifying purple lightning descended from above. It was unknown how long it was, but it seemed to split the entire chaotic space outside the 33rd heaven into two. Li Mui and Heavenly Venerate Wufa immediately dodged in fear. Their dermic powers were endless, and they could still fight for hundreds of millions of years, so their states were very stable. Heavenly Venerate Wufa snorted. Since the Heavenly Tao is interfering, why fight? You can't defeat me at all. He was very unhappy. If not for the fact that he had sacrificed himself to become a Heavenly Tao sage, he would have long killed Li Mui. He hadn't advanced after becoming a Heavenly Tao sage. Instead, he had declined. Li Mui's expression was ugly. Fellow Taoist, this is the Heavenly Tao immortal world. Don't you think it's too much for you to do this as a newcomer? Heavenly Venerate Wufa mocked him. It's a great merit for me to preach the Tao to all living beings. How is that too much? If you aren't convinced, you can ask all living beings. Do you dare to do it? Li Mui was silent. From a living being's point of view, it was naturally a huge opportunity. However, from the perspective of a sage, this was not a good thing. Their lineage would be shaken. Not only that, but all living beings would quickly become stronger, causing the Heavenly Tao to be unable to withstand it and trigger another immeasurable calamity. Heavenly Venerate Wufa flicked his sleeve and left after saying, "Let's use our own methods in this game." Li Mui's face was ashen. He did not chase after him. Han Ju touched his chin and pondered. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was so arrogant. Who was behind this? It shouldn't be the Tao ancestor. The Heavenly Tao itself belonged to him. The sages had all been promoted by the Tao ancestor. I want to know who instructed Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Hanju thought silently. 160 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. A figure appeared in Hanju's mind. It was a black-robed youth. Heavenly Sect Master. Great Tao Sage, Immeasurable Emperor, Jie School's ancestor. Hanju frowned. Why was it the Heavenly Sect Master? It made sense that the Heavenly Sect Master was still alive. After all, Niwa and Dijuan were still around. However, why did the Heavenly Sect Master not support Sect Master Tianju, but another sage? If I stay in the Heavenly Tao, why won't the Heavenly Sect Master kill me? 160 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Heavenly Venerate Wufa had developed hatred towards Hanju as soon as he arrived, which meant that it was very difficult for the Heavenly Sect Master to befriend him. So Hanju asked cleverly. The Heavenly Tao is independent, and the Great Tao cannot interfere. The Heavenly Sect Master is still imprisoned in the Ancient Desolate, and has lost his freedom. Hanju was enlightened. So this fellow was locked up. He asked, is it that even existences beyond the Heavenly Tao can't directly attack the living beings in the Heavenly Tao? Not necessarily, unless the cultivation level surpasses Pangu and the Tao ancestor. Chapter 554 Respect of a Sage. The Great Battle is Coming. Chapter 554 Respect of a Sage. The Great Battle is Coming, surpassing Pangu and the Tao ancestor? How strong was that? Hanju couldn't even imagine. After reaching the primordial chaos zenith heaven golden immortal realm, he couldn't even imagine what the origin of the Great Tao Sage was, let alone a higher existence. No matter what, if Heavenly Venerate Wufa's backing was locked in the Ancient Desolate, Hanju didn't have to be afraid. His gaze landed on the Wufa Palace again. After the battle with Li Mui ended, Heavenly Venerate Wufa continued to recruit disciples and prepared to preach the Tao. Hanju deduced that his son was also in the Tao field. Forget it. He would let Heavenly Venerate Wufa preach the Tao first and tidy up after. It was a good opportunity for the living beings of the Heavenly Tao to become stronger. They could be more at ease when facing the Heavenly Devil tribulation in the future. About 10 years passed. The Wufa Palace closed, and the Heavenly Venerate began to preach. Hanju silently calculated. More than 10 billion living beings had entered the palace. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was indeed generous. After the lecture, he directly obtained 10 billion disciples. Among these disciples, he could choose some with top potential. What a pity. Heavenly Venerable Wufa. You won't be able to laugh until the end. How long you can live depends on how long you can preach. Hanju secretly mocked. Year after year passed. In the blink of an eye, 100 years passed. Inside Wufa Palace, this place was like a world. The ground was like water, and the sky was white. Countless living beings sat on the water surface. After 100 years of preaching, most of the living beings had already transformed. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. Han Tua and Jieyu were the closest. Jieyu opened his eyes and looked at him. He asked with a smile, how are your gains? Han Tua smiled. Not bad. What about you? It was not just not bad. Surprise! He actually easily understood the great Tao that Heavenly Venerate Wufa taught. Other than the increase in his cultivation, many thoughts also appeared in his mind, making him very excited. Jieyu smiled. It's all right, but I feel inferior to you. You always surprise me. Han Tua smiled and did not reply. Although the two of them had a good relationship, they had their own secrets and never interfered with each other. This was also the reason why they got along well. At this moment, Heavenly Venerate Wufa's voice sounded. The first lecture is over. From now on, all of you are disciples of the Wufa sect. No matter what sect you came from, you must abandon it. I will lead you to prosperity. I am the strongest sage. His tone was extremely firm and confident. These words made most living beings worship him. Only a few disciples from other sects were very uncomfortable, but they did not dare to stand out and offend Heavenly Venerate Wufa. The heavenly devil calamity has just ended. All of you should be able to sense that the previous sages are too weak, causing the heavenly devils to be rampant for so long. If I lead the heavenly Tao, such a tragic scene will definitely not appear. Believe in me and follow me. This will be the greatest opportunity in your lives. My ambitions are to unite the myriad worlds in the universe and control the heavenly Tao alone. I will lead all living beings in the heavenly Tao to surpass the great Tao in the past. I will stand at the end of the river of destiny and look down on everything. The more heavenly venerate Wufa spoke, the more arrogant he became. Han Tuo frowned slightly. For some reason, he instinctively resisted heavenly venerate Wufa. So what if he's a sage? The thought shocked him. Logically speaking, after hearing the lecture, he should worship and revere heavenly venerate Wufa. However, seeing that the other party was so arrogant, he was inexplicably unhappy. Jiayu's voice floated over. Don't resist him. He's testing us. He used a voice transmission. Test. Han Tuo was shocked and hurriedly extinguished the flames of disdain in his heart. At the same time, he became wary of Jiayu. This kid was not simple. He could even see through the methods of a sage. Thinking about it carefully, he had never seen Jiayu in a sorry state. No matter how strong the enemy was, he was always calm. Jiayu sensed Han Tuo's gaze and smiled. His eyes narrowed into two crescent moons. Heavenly venerate Wufa was still speaking. At the same time, Hanju had already arrived in front of Wufa Palace. He didn't barge in immediately, but stood in front of the door and waited. His supreme treasure had already been activated, and the divine light of the sun and moon yin-yang protection covered his figure. Hanju, what do you want to do? Qiu Shilai's voice entered his ears. Not only Qiu Shilai, but the other sages also asked with voice transmissions. Hanju didn't answer. The reason why he did not immediately attack was that he was afraid of injuring the listeners. The reason why he came was that he was worried that Heavenly Venerate Wufa would use some tricks on them. Heavenly Venerate Wufa sensed Hanju's appearance and ended his speech, asking the 10 billion disciples to leave. Boom! The door to the palace opened, and a pillar of light rose. The array formation outside the door can send you back. Cultivate well, and wait for my next lecture. Heavenly Venerate Wufa's voice sounded. Hanju could also hear it. Disciples walked out of the palace one after another. Seeing him, they were all stunned, but no one dared to approach. Hanju's aura was very strong, making them fearful. One disciple after another stepped into the pillar of light, forming a long dragon that connected the interior of the palace to the pillar of light. Heavenly Venerate Wufa did not come out directly. He was probably waiting for the listeners to leave. On the other side, the sages gathered in Qiu Shilai's palace. The South Extreme Heavenly Venerate asked excitedly. Hanju is going to fight with Heavenly Venerate Wufa? Sect Master Tianju sighed. Probably. He won't take the initiative to visit for no reason. Once he appears, he will definitely attack. Emperor Xiao smiled. Hanju's actions impressed me. This is a true cultivator. Unlike Li Mui, who only knows how to curse behind his back. Fuxishan also came, but Li Mui did not. Li Mui was rejected by them. Even the South Extreme Heavenly Venerate and Sect Master Tianju did not interact with him. I even suspected that Hanju is the Dark Forbidden Lord. I'm really ashamed. Sect Master Tianju sighed. How were Hanju's actions like the Dark Forbidden Lord? They began to look forward to what would happen next. Every disciple who left the Wufa Palace would glance at Hanju and not dare to look anymore. They thought that Hanju was a mighty figure under Heavenly Venerate Wufa. Han Tuo and Jiayu chatted as they walked out of the palace. At this moment Han Tuo suddenly saw Hanju. This glance stunned him. For some reason, Hanju's figure made him absent-minded, and he felt inexplicably close. Who is he? Han Tuo frowned and stared at Hanju. Jiayu said, Don't look. Han Tuo jolted awake and hurriedly retracted his gaze. After that, Han Tuo didn't dare to look at Hanju anymore, afraid that he would anger this mysterious mighty figure. However, in his heart, Hanju's figure couldn't be erased, making him curious. Who was this person? Hanju noticed that Han Tuo's cultivation had increased quite well. Not only that, but his physical bloodline actually contained a trace of Dao runes. Good kid. As expected of my son, Han Ju thought silently. Most of his attention was still on Heavenly Venerate Wufa, in case he left. Han Tua stepped into the pillar of light with the group. The moment he entered, he couldn't help but turn around. Shining with divine light, Han Ju quietly stood at the side of the Wufa Palace's doors. He didn't move at all, like a god who would always stand in the river of time. He emitted a vast aura and loneliness. Chapter 555 Wufa Sect Crumbles, 3,000 Years. Chapter 555 Wufa Sect Crumbles. 3,000 years after all the listeners left, Han Ju turned around and walked into the palace. Heavenly Venerate Wufa didn't use the array formation to stop him. Han Ju walked forward slowly, but each step covered an extremely long distance. It had the profundity of shrinking the distance. Soon he saw Heavenly Venerate Wufa. The other party sat on a tall tower. He was high and mighty as he looked down on him. Han Ju clearly felt a mysterious force surging around him. This fellow was activating the array formation, wanting to isolate the palace from the outside. Han Ju stopped and took a deep breath. Heavenly Venerate Wufa, I came here to acknowledge you as my master. Hearing this, Heavenly Venerate Wufa narrowed his eyes and asked, Really? He thought that Han Ju was here to find trouble. He didn't completely trust his words. Previously, Han Ju had cancelled out his palm strike, which meant that he was not weak. Han Ju said, I use my strength to attain the Tao and don't want to enter the heavenly Tao calamity. It's a good thing for me if you can unite the heavenly Tao. I can cultivate in peace and not be disturbed. Heavenly Venerate Wufa asked, Really? Yes. Then kneel down. Han Ju cursed silently. This dog really knew how to take advantage of others. His legs began to curve as if he was about to kneel down. Just as he bent down, he suddenly attacked. A fiend celestial Dharma idol suddenly appeared above Han Ju's head. It moved like lightning and pounced at Heavenly Venerate Wufa like a hungry tiger. Heavenly Venerate Wufa raised his palm and struck, but the fiend celestial Dharma idol was faster and quickly drowned him. Imprisonment Fiend Celestial. This was one of the fiend celestial Dharma idols that Han Ju had recently comprehended. It could imprison everything in the world, even the heavenly Tao and great Tao. If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website myboxnovel.com. Thanks. The Heavenly Venerate Wufa's dermic powers were completely useless against the imprisonment fiend celestial. His expression changed drastically. He immediately took out a white sword. At this moment, Han Ju rushed in. Behind him were fiend celestial Dharma idols that gathered on the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial at the front. Han Ju waved his fist, and the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial followed suit. A terrifying killing intent attacked. Heavenly Venerate Wufa's eyes widened as he waved his sword to block. Boom! The figure of the imprisonment Fiend Celestial began to expand like a balloon that was quickly injected with gas before exploding. The strong wind that stirred up wreaked havoc in the palace. The daytime sky was torn apart, and the water at the bottom shattered like a mirror. From the outside, Wufa Palace shook violently. Streaks of rainbow light shot out from the palace, bright and dazzling. The sages in the Buddhist Tao field waited nervously. Although they knew that Han Ju was very strong, they were not afraid of accidents. Inside Wufa Palace, the imprisonment Fiend Celestial had already dissipated. The wind circled in the hall. It was visible to the naked eye. Dense spatial cracks appeared in the white sky, making one's heart palpitate. Han Ju stood on the platform, holding the Heavenly Venerate Wufa's sage soul. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was suppressed by the power of the imprisonment Fiend Celestial, Void Fiend Celestial, Hell Fiend Celestial, and many others, making it impossible for him to move. He looked at Han Ju in shock and asked, Who are you? He had never encountered a battle like this before. Where did those Dharma idols come from? Han Ju said calmly, I just want to protect the heavenly Tao order left behind by the Tao ancestor. Tao ancestor? Heavenly Venerate Wufa's expression changed. He gritted his teeth and said, I'm a heavenly Tao sage. You can't kill me. I have a mighty figure behind me. I advise you to give up. Han Ju asked, Your master is stronger than the Tao ancestor? Heavenly Venerate Wufa was silent. Han Ju retracted his hand and disappeared into the hall. He directly came to the 100-peak Immortal Rivers Tao field, and through Heavenly Venerate Wufa into the primordial heavenly prison. To prevent the other party from doing anything, Han Ju decided not to cultivate and kept staring at him. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was suppressed. He shouted, "What? You want to imprison me? Can you imprison me for a lifetime?" Han Ju ignored him. He would leave the answer to time. Outside the 33rd heaven, the sages arrived at the Wufa palace. Li Muyi also came. Li Muyi frowned and said, "There's the aura of battle. Why don't I see the two of them?" No one replied. The sages began to check around. Li Muyi was secretly annoyed and extremely unhappy. Ever since he returned, the sages had ostracized him. However, when he thought of how he had indeed not contributed in the heavenly devil calamity, he could understand, so he had been enduring. The sages wandered around for a while. After confirming that Han Ju and Heavenly Venerate Wufa were not around, they could only give up. Several decades later, Qiu Shilai visited Han Ju in his dreams. Han Ju ignored him. Qiu Shilai didn't dare to continue. He thought that Han Ju was still fighting with Heavenly Venerate Wufa and didn't dare to disturb him. Time passed. After the lecture ended, the Wufa sect grew rapidly. In less than 1,000 years, the Wufa sect's disciples appeared everywhere in the myriad worlds. The sages didn't dare to act recklessly without knowing Heavenly Venerate Wufa's life and death. In the blink of an eye, 2,000 years passed. Han Ju and Heavenly Venerate Wufa had already disappeared for 2,000 years. The sages grew bold and arranged for their disciples to enter the world to target the Wufa sect. Without Heavenly Venerate Wufa's appearance, the sect had no unity and crumbled in less than 100 years. In a deep mountain, Han Tua meditated in the cave abode and cultivated. Ever since the trip to the Wufa palace, he had been hiding here and cultivating. His cultivation level had increased exponentially. Jieyu suddenly walked in from the entrance and said, "The Wufa sect is no more. It seems that something has happened to Heavenly Venerate Wufa." Han Tua opened his eyes when he heard this. He couldn't help but think of the divine light figure he had seen that day. Could it be that Heavenly Venerate Wufa's disappearance was related to that person? Han Tua teased, "Your plan to join the Wufa sect has failed. What's next?" Jieyu found a seat and sat down. He shrugged and said, "I'm preparing to leave the immortal world." "Where to?" "An unknown land. If fate allows, we'll meet again." Han Tua was silent. He didn't have many good friends. Jieyu was his confidant. Although he couldn't see through him, he had indeed helped him a lot. The two of them had experienced life and death together. Jieyu said meaningfully, "Han Tua, you're not simple. It's just that the path of cultivation is still long. I hope that the next time we meet, you'll already be an influential figure below the heavenly Tao." Han Tua frowned and asked, "Must you leave?" "That's right. My mission is over." "Where are you from?" "I can't say. Let's discuss the Tao. This is also the last time." "All right." Han Tua wasn't pretentious. He was no longer the immature youth from back then. Several years later, Jieyu left. Han Tua also left and entered seclusion in another cave abode. Inside the Taoist temple, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju. "Primordial heavenly prison has successfully enslaved the target. Heavenly Venerate Wufa has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, max." Han Ju heaved a sigh of relief. It took him 3,000 years to enslave Heavenly Venerate Wufa. He had not cultivated for 3,000 years. He had never wasted so much time, causing him to feel extremely tormented and uncomfortable. Han Ju checked the emails and saw an interesting one. "Your good friend Heavenly Venerable Wufa was abandoned by the Heavenly Tao and lost his position as a Heavenly Tao sage." Chapter 556 Freedom Sage. Chapter 556 Freedom Sage. Han Ju felt that the Heavenly Tao was defending itself by abandoning Heavenly Venerate Wufa. He began to check Heavenly Venerate Wufa's attributes. Heavenly Venerate Wufa, early stage of the Freedom Primordial Chaos Realm, immeasurable Emperor, disciple of the Tao ancestor. Because he was enslaved by you using the primordial heavenly prison, his favorability towards you has reached the maximum. Early stage of the Freedom Primordial Chaos Realm. Freedom Sage? Hanju had a strange expression. Heavenly Venerate Wufa was meditating, and not moving. Hanju asked in his mind. His cultivation level far exceeds mine. Will he betray me? No, unless he surpasses the system's limits. The Tao field could already block the prying of the great Tao above. Its limit naturally far exceeded the Freedom Sage's. Hanju heaved a sigh of relief, and was suddenly amused. In that case he had benefited. In order to master the Heavenly Tao, Heavenly Venerate Wufa had no choice but to become a Heavenly Tao Sage. His cultivation level weakened, but it gave Hanju a chance. Hanju said, "Kneel down." Hearing this, Heavenly Venerate Wufa suddenly opened his eyes and knelt down. "Bastard! You tried to make me kneel before you earlier. Kneel for a period of time yourself." Hanju asked, "Who sent you to the Heavenly Tao?" Heavenly Venerate Wufa replied, "Heavenly Sect Master." "What is his goal?" "For me to grasp the Heavenly Tao. Then, he will absorb my providence and break free from the great Tao array formation that the Tao ancestor used to suppress him." Why was the Heavenly Sect Master suppressed by the Tao ancestor? If you have problems with this website, please continue reading your novel on our new website MyBox Novel. Thanks. After the Heavenly Sect Master became a great Tao sage, he started the Battle of the Sages and angered the Tao ancestor. Hanju couldn't help but think of the investiture of the gods. In the Divine Investiture War, the Heavenly Sect Master had also triggered the Battle of the Sages. If this legend was true, the Heavenly Sect Master would really not give up. However, he felt that the Divine Investiture War might not be true. It should be a Heavenly Tao projection. It happened to project a mythical history into the minds of mortals. It blurred the process and resulted in a similar legend. No matter what, the Heavenly Sect Master couldn't escape for the time being. He couldn't find trouble with him. Hanju continued, "Tell me about the deity realm of the ruins of End in detail." Heavenly Venerate Wufa replied, "The deity realm of the ruins of End is boundless. It's filled with great Tao restrictions. Even sages can't interact with it instantly. Living beings below the Emperor realm can't survive there. The deity realm of the ruins of End is desolate, and existences called Tao devils wander around. The strongest Tao devil can even devour ordinary sages. So the races in the deity realm of the ruins of End are very cautious. The Buddhist sect, the Tao sect, the devil race, the demon race, the dragon race, and so on are all scattered in the deity realm of the ruins of End. They don't disturb each other. Not only that, because the deity realm of the ruins of End is located in the dark forbidden zone, the inauspicious evil can freely infiltrate it and attack living beings. Currently, the strongest one in the deity realm of the ruins of End is the Seven Tao Sage. He created the Great Tao Pagoda. He doesn't have many disciples, but they are all elites. Hanju listened carefully. He felt glad. From the sound of it, the Heavenly Tao was the safest. Be it the inauspicious evil or the Tao devils, they couldn't infiltrate the Heavenly Tao. If he didn't have the system, if he wanted to advance, after reaching the Sage realm, he indeed would have to go to the deity realm of the ruins of End. From what Heavenly Venerate Wufa said, Hanju learned that other than the terrifying Tao devils, the deity realm of the ruins of End was filled with all sorts of great Tao forms. Great Tao had even transformed into spirits and walked the deity realm of the ruins of End to preach the great Tao. In terms of opportunities, the Heavenly Tao couldn't compare. Hanju suspected that the great Tao divine spirit was formed by the great Tao. After Heavenly Venerate Wufa finished speaking, Hanju asked curiously, "Tao devils can even kill sages. How can ordinary living beings survive?" Even the Heavenly Emperor could take root in the deity realm of the ruins of End. Heavenly Venerate Wufa replied, "The origins of the Tao devils are mysterious. They don't have independent thoughts, and only find living beings of the same realm to hunt. Speaking of which, the Tao devils are very similar to the heavenly devils. It's just that the heavenly devils have intelligence, and the Tao devils are stronger." "I see." Hanju narrowed his eyes. In other words, The deity realm of the ruins of End has not formed a civilization, much less unified. Is it like the wilderness? Heavenly Venerate Wufa nodded inside. In the deity realm of the ruins of End, other than relying on mighty figures, one can only constantly fight and pursue the great Tao. That place is like the chaos before the creation of the world. There's no peace when the 3,000 chaotic fiend celestials fight. Hanju asked, "What about the ancient desolate? How much do you know about it?" Heavenly Venerate Wufa shook his head. "I have never entered the ancient desolate. Perhaps I have, but I don't remember. The ancient desolate is extremely mysterious. It's the greatest forbidden land in the deity realm of the ruins of End." Hanju fell into deep thought. Heavenly Venerate Wufa said, "If you want to surpass the primordial chaos Tao fruit, you still have to head to the deity realm of the ruins of End to pursue the great Tao that belongs to you. The heavenly Tao can at most produce Khanate Qi. After stepping into the sage realm, it's very difficult to cultivate. It's very difficult to comprehend the great Tao in the heavenly Tao because it's very far away." Hanju nodded and continued to question him. Several days later, Heavenly Venerate Wufa left and returned to the 33rd heaven to preside over the Wufa Palace. His return shocked the sages. Could it be that Hanju had lost? Hanju began the simulation trial and fought the current Heavenly Venerate Wufa. 2 hours passed. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. With his current strength, it was indeed difficult for him to fight against a freedom sage. He fought for 2 hours without winning. Fortunately, Heavenly Venerate Wufa was now his subordinate and could not threaten him. "I should comprehend the great Tao of extreme origin," Hanju muttered to himself. Through his communication with Heavenly Venerate Wufa, Hanju knew that he was still very weak. However, there was one good thing. No matter who came to the heavenly Tao, they had to stay. Unless they were stronger than the Tao ancestor. Hanju suddenly thought of Ancestor Shitian. He was clearly stronger than the other heavenly Tao sages. Why was he not affected by the heavenly Tao? Could it be because Ancestor Shitian did not attack? In any case, as long as he stayed in the heavenly Tao, Hanju was invincible. Steady. At this moment, Qiu Shilai sent him a dream. Hanju accepted it. Just like he had guessed, Qiu Shilai asked about Heavenly Venerable Wufa. Hanju said that he and Heavenly Venerate Wufa had reached an agreement. In the future, when they fought for providence, they would follow the rules and not act recklessly like before. He didn't directly say that he couldn't subdue the Heavenly Venerate. He could use this to restrain the other sages. Qiu Shilai heaved a sigh of relief and informed the other sages about this. The heavenly Tao regained its calm. After the Wufa sect was scattered, a large number of sects appeared in the immortal world. Heavenly Venerate Wufa preached the Tao for 100 years. 10 billion disciples had been subdued. Many living beings had ambitions and wanted to fight for themselves. There were hundreds of conflicts in the immortal world. Battles between cultivators could be seen everywhere. It looked a little chaotic, but the overall providence of the heavenly Tao was becoming stronger. On the other side, 13th Heaven South Heaven Gate, Li Daokong and Hanyu stood side by side. 1,000 nether zeniths waited at the horizon. Ji Xianxian asked, "Are you really not staying?" Li Daokong shook his head. "We should return to report. After so many years, the heavenly race is already under your control. You only need to be careful of the heavenly God General. This person is extremely shrewd and has gone under many masters." Ji Xianxian nodded. Li Daokong didn't say anything else and left with Hanyu. Ji Xianxian looked at Li Daokong's back, his eyes filled with envy. Li Daokong had become the person he wanted to become. He was powerful and unrestrained. He did as he pleased. Unknowingly, Ji Xianxian had become greedy for power. Even he did not know. At this moment, a golden light shot over from below. It pierced through the clouds, and then through the South Heaven Gate's plaque. The golden light rose and entered the 14th heaven. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.